Good evening, good folks, and welcome to the City of Muskegon City Commission General Session for this Tuesday, June 11th, 2024. So we do have a couple of public comment periods throughout our meeting, one of which is towards the beginning of the meeting on any agenda items. There's also public comment at the end of the meeting on anything you wish to share with the City Commission. Note during public comments, it is an opportunity for you all to address the Commission and share your thoughts. It is not necessarily a time for back and forth with the Commission or Q&A. We can arrange times to engage on that separately. You are encouraged to complete a public comment form at the back of the room. Please provide your name and home address. Note I will not be sharing your home address nor asking you to publicly announce your home address. That is for our records. Everyone has up to 3 minutes to give remarks. You can also phone in. So if you're not here in the audience with us and you wish to share your thoughts, you can phone in. There'll be a number scrolling at the bottom of the screen when we get to phone in public comment time. Before we get on with our business for the day, we're going to be led in prayer by Pastor E.J. Wood of All Shores Wesleyan Church, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance. If you wish to join us in either prayer or the pledge, I ask that you stand if you're so capable of doing so. Good evening, Pastor.
Thank you, Mayor Johnson. If you would like to join me, I invite you to pray with me now. Loving and generous God, we come before you with thankful hearts. Thankful for the privilege and opportunity that it is to live in and serve Muskegon, and thankful for the leadership of our city commission. I thank you for these leaders who responded to the call to serve our city and their neighbors. I pray that you would increase in them wisdom and discernment, integrity, and a servant's heart. I pray that you would help each of us who are members of this community to honor these individuals placed in leadership. As you give them vision for what is best for Muskegon, would you help us together to live peaceful lives that honors one another and you? Father, would you make us into a community of upright living, social concern, and personal integrity? And as the business of tonight's meeting is conducted, I ask that your spirit of wisdom would be present in this place. May you give direction where it's needed, patience when things are not clear, and grace where there are differences of opinion. Finally, I ask that you bless this great city of Muskegon, that you'd cover it with your favor, that you'd bring healing where there's brokenness, unity where there's division, and peace where there's unrest. I pray that you unite our leaders and neighbors for one purpose of bringing heaven to earth. Thank you again for each of these who has gathered here tonight, and bless this meeting time together. In the name of the Father, Son, and Spirit, we pray together in agreement. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor. May we have roll call, please?
Commissioner German?
Here.
Commissioner Gorman?
Here.
Commissioner Cochin?
Here.
Vice Mayor St. Clair?
Here.
Mayor Johnson?
Here.
Commissioner Kilgo?
Here.
Commissioner Keener?
Here.
Thank you. First up, we have some recognition with the Inclusive Leadership Academy, and we have Dwana Thompson presenting.
Hello.
Good evening.
So I've been asked to present the Inclusive Leadership Academy, and before I do it, I just want to tell you a little bit about it. I gave you all a little bit of information on it on your desk, but the Inclusive Leadership Academy aims to empower more individuals to comfortably serve their community on boards or committees, creating opportunities for greater participation from people of color in public life. We're here because people of color have expressed a desire to serve our community. Our goal is for them to connect, build their networks in West Michigan, hear from community leaders, and find mentors to guide them. We want them to feel confident speaking in front of groups and having their opinions heard and respected. Additionally, we aim to educate them about the challenges of serving, finding one's place in the community, and developing a voice to advocate for the most vulnerable. We know that can be challenging. Our ultimate hope is that each participant will discover service opportunities that align with their life's work and the impact they aspire to make in their community. And so I just want to introduce the ones that came out today. We don't have all the graduates from the 2024 class, but when the 2023 class heard that, you know, they were getting to come here and stand before the commission, they were like, well, what about us? And so some of them came today also. And then I'll also recognize some of the other graduates that are in the room that might have been from previous years.
That's awesome. So you started, I think, 2020? Or
2019, 2020. Yeah, it was like right.
It was right before the pandemic. 'Cause your
Yes.
first graduating class was in the pandemic. Because I remember wanting the class to come here so that we
Yeah.
could celebrate
Yeah.
their accomplishments and your work, because
Yeah.
you were a founding member of this Inclusive Leadership Academy.
Yeah. Graciously, the Community Foundation helped us with startup money, and I've been putting it in the budget every year here with the City of Muskegon. And I do have a co-facilitator, Shamika Johnson, who's not able to be here tonight, but she also helps with location, us being able to have a classroom at MCC, and being able to actually facilitate, you know, the coursework and put many of the things together for the class and get, you know, facilitators, instructors for different topics and things. So the first person, he's not here today, but Carlos Flores is in this class, Bonita Jackson, and as I call your name, if you could come forward and just stand before the commission. And Bonita Jackson is a development officer with the Community Foundation for Muskegon County. Is Brittany Williams here? Did she come in? Shalon Rankin, did she come in? No. Benny Chambers is here, and she's an environment of care, risk and safety manager at Hackley Community Care. And Tanika Chambers is a rehabilitation coordinator with Michigan Rehab Services. And I don't think Ira Williams is here. He's a sales and recruiting director at Cerberus Security and co-owner of an Infinity Staffing. Amber Rankin, is she here tonight? Talea Gordon is here. Amber? Okay, Amber is here. She's Veteran Services representative of VA Healthcare System. And Talea Gordon is a student ambassador, shot put coach, security with Muskegon Heights Public Schools. Antoinette Robinson is here. And she's a homemaker. Okay. But some of the previous class, Anissa Williams is here, and she works with Fair State University. We have Joanne Smith here that works with Muskegon Community College. We have Contessa Alexander back here that works for the city. Jocelyn Hines works for the city. I'm looking around to see if there's anybody else, and I think that's it tonight. So
Fantastic.
I just wanted to introduce them to the commission tonight, and let you say what you'd like to say
Yeah,
to them.
thank you. No, I think the Inclusive Leadership Academy is an excellent program and very much needed. And I'm grateful for all of you for participating in that program and finding ways to serve our community and help make our community more equitable and inclusive and just. And you play a role in that. And so just want to say thank you for going through that program. And also I want to make sure that all of our city residents who have gone through the program, you have applications in with our talent bank for opportunities to serve on one of our boards, committees, or commissions. If you
They
have
do
not-
have the talent bank applications, and they do have the packet of all of our boards and committees at the city. So we did have a networking event for them, so that they could meet some community partners and organizations that are looking for people to serve. So.
I have a question, man.
Yes.
Yeah, Director Thompson, and thank you all for your service and participating. Would this be a spinoff of the Intercultural Leadership Academy?
It is. It
Yeah.
actually is, and that was originally facilitated by Realestein Wilkins, but Janie Brooks took it over years ago and hired Ken James, who is the Chief Diversity Officer at MCC, to actually run it years ago. And then when he started working for the city and was able to fulfill that commitment, I actually stepped into that role as facilitator for a period of time, for a couple of years. And so, I'm getting a little bit older, so it's kind of, I'm like, it's nice to have some more people that are willing to serve and just, sit at those tables and have their voices heard. And, so I think this program just kind of gives them the confidence to step out and do that. So.
Well, great, and thank you. Actually, I was part of that intercultural
You
leadership
were,
academy
as
back
was
in
I,
1999. So it's
yeah.
well worth it, and
Yes.
I'm quite sure you all will do well in your services as you will pursue. So continue the good work, and thank you.
And thank you to the city for continuing to support us. Okay, thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner German. Commissioners, do you have any other?
Thank you all.
All right, that brings us to public comment on agenda items. We have a couple of forms here. First up, we have Najib Bodman joining us from the Beechwood Bluffton neighborhood. Welcome. You have up to 3 minutes to provide your remarks.
Okay. Hello, Commissioner and Mayor. My name is Najee Bodman, and I live in the Pure Marquette neighborhood. And I'm here to talk about the rezoning in my neighborhood to address the housing shortage in a one-size-fits-all push for R2 and maybe even R3. I've learned 3 things since this has come up. The first thing I learned was in a kind of a rough conversation with Mr. Franzik, the zoning commissioner, and he said that I thought critical dune was going to be a factor, and he said that isn't a factor at all, that we don't have dunes, don't go there. So, okay. But I'm here to plead that our neighborhood is unique in other important ways. We are a peninsula with one way in and one way out. We are an important migratory bird path. We have acres of sand that closes roads and piles up everywhere. We have an abundance of beach grass. We are home to the deck with 500,000 visitors projected for this summer, all in cars. We have another restaurant, a large condominium complex, a boutique hotel, a busy beach, many large events on that beach, and a frequent need for emergency medical vehicles to get in and out at life-saving speeds. The Pure Marquette Peninsula is already congested and dense with people, buildings, and traffic. I have learned, secondly, that folks are most concerned about 2 scary scenarios that have been the prominent topics in discussions of non-compliant lots: financing and slash refinancing, and rebuilds after a total fire devastation. I've spoken to 2 large mortgage companies that service our area, and they both assured me very quickly that non-compliant lots are fully able to be financed and refinanced. It happens all the time. As far as the rebuild from devastating fires, these lots were plotted in 1910, as you know, and that entitles the owners going forward and now to certain rights, and I don't know the definitive answer. I would know it would be up to a city council to deny or to approve a variance to rebuild. And we need to know definitively. I would not want it to stay that way if people couldn't rebuild. I just don't know the answer. I don't know how to even find it. The third thing I learned is that the commission feels that greater density, more lots, more knockdown secondary dwellings built on the same lot may not actually happen for a long time in many neighborhoods, or if at all. But I'm going to tell you that in the Pure Marquette neighborhood, given where it is, it will be the first neighborhood in the whole city where it will happen, and it will happen to its fullest. Just because of where it is. The Pure Marquette neighborhood is the very first place that this zoning will kick in. So please, please, don't pass that. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Bodman. Next up. Next up, we have Ingrid Olson, also joining us from the Beechwood Bluffton neighborhood. Welcome.
Hello. I didn't prepare anything so formal. I actually just wanted to say I fully support this. My family has lived on Beach Street for over 50 years, and we live in odd, non-compliant homes. They're very, very old. One of the homes we own was built in 1860. So it's on the lot lines. If anything should happen to our very old home, it'd be very, very difficult to rebuild it. So we're very worried about this. And we've had numerous times when we've tried to change things and we've run into zoning issues. So I fully support this, and I'm not too worried about higher density, the homes are already quite close together on Beach Street. I really don't see this changing. I just want to protect the homes that exist and the residents who've been there a very long time. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Olson. All right, is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to speak on an agenda item? Yes, Kara Olson joining us from the Beechwood Bluffton neighborhood. Welcome, you have 3 minutes to provide your remarks.
Hi, I also don't have anything prepared. I misunderstood. I thought this was settled on several weeks ago. At any rate, like Ingrid said, there are plenty of houses on the street that are out of compliance with the R1 zoning that was imposed on top of lots and houses that have been there forever. And that creates quite a hardship for remodels and such and adding on. For example, in the house that I own, I need a bathtub, and there isn't one right now. I really need to add one, but that would bring us out of compliance, well, in a small house that's already out of compliance. I understand that this type of paperwork takes a lot of work at City Hall to get variances and such, and that hopefully going to R2 zoning, which I soundly support, would help alleviate not only some of the work at City Hall in reviewing and deciding on variances, but for those of us who have been homeowners for not just a lifetime, but generations. So I urge you to vote in favor of the R2 zoning. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Olson. Is there anyone else in the audience that wishes to give public comment on an agenda item at this time? All right, we're going to go to the phones for comments on an agenda item. Do you have a comment on an agenda item? Oh, do you have something to? You're one of the.
Yeah, I'm one of the organizers.
With it, okay, gotcha. So we'll get to that item, and you'll have an opportunity to speak then. Going to the phones for phone and comments on an agenda item. Phone number is 231-724-6721. When you call in, please turn down any audio in the background. And when you are acknowledged, please share your name and what neighborhood you reside in, if you are a city resident. And if you're not a city resident, which township, village, or other city you might be calling from. Any phone calls?
No, Mayor.
All right. We're going to move on. Commissioners, you've had an opportunity to review the consent agenda. Are there any items that you wish to have removed for separate consideration and vote? Vice Mayor St. Clair.
Item G, item H, and item K.
Item G, item H, and item K, you said?
Yes.
Okay. Any others?
Item F.
Keener, F. Any other items? Commissioner Gorman.
Item E.
Commissioner German?
Most of mine has been called. Item J. Let's see. Is it H already? And did someone call on F?
Yep.
Yeah, okay, that's it. Yeah, but that's all.
Any other items?
That's all.
Commissioner Cochin.
Item C.
Item C. All right. If there are no others, then I would entertain a motion to adopt the consent agenda as presented, minus items C, E, F, G, H, J, and K.
So move.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner German, supported by Vice Mayor St. Clair. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Keener,
Yes.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. First item, C, rezoning of properties on Beach Street, Indiana Avenue, Ohio Avenue, Simpson Avenue, and Nelson Street from R1 to R2. This is a second reading and vote. Commissioner Cochin,
Thank you. Welcome back, Director Frankus.
motion please.
Oh, I'm so sorry. I forgot. I move to approve the rezonings as listed in the packet.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Cochin, supported by Vice Mayor St. Clair. Welcome. Could you please introduce yourself?
Yes, Mike Franzak, Planning Director.
All right. So you've already presented on this before. I'm going to go to Commissioner Cochin just to explain for everyone in the audience what second reading means. So in the event that there's a zoning ordinance change, if it's not adopted by all 7 members of the commission, but instead adopted by at least 4, it requires a second reading and second vote to get approved by majority of the commission to go into effect. There's always opportunity that 4 may not happen on the second reading and it doesn't get passed. But just wanted to clarify what a second reading and second vote is. Commissioner Cochin.
Yes, thank you. Welcome back, Director Franzik. I wanted to ask you a question, a couple questions actually. The first one being the zoning that is currently in place in the on Beach Street there in the area we're discussing is R1. And can you tell me when the zoning was changed to R1?
Yes, so the ones that are R1 now have historically been that way since the R1 district was incorporated many years ago, probably predating the 1950s. What has changed is some of the blocks have changed to R2 and R3 from R1, and that happened in 2015. And the reason we did that is because at the time, there were a lot of unbuildable lots throughout the city because of our zoning policy, which stated that you had to have 50 foot of road frontage and 6,000 square foot to be considered buildable, which created hundreds of unbuildable lots in the city. We decided to take a look to go back to how these were originally built under their zoning laws, and the zoning laws pretty much said that you could have a 30-foot wide lot anywhere. So that's how they originally were built. We tried to look at each block throughout the city, how they were built, whether they're on 30-foot wide lots, 40-foot wide lots, or 50-foot wide lots, and then give the R1, 2, and 3 districts accordingly. Now, we went through hundreds of these blocks, so we may have made a few errors. I believe we made an error on this one because what we probably did is we looked at the road frontage, and most of these do meet the 50-foot of road frontage, but they don't have as long of lots as they do elsewhere in the city, especially near downtown. We have very deep lots, 120 to 150 feet. These are only about 100 feet down there, so a lot of them are just under that 6,000 square foot. So that's kind of why they received the zoning designation that they did. We believe they are more aligned with the R2 because of this, and that's why we're suggesting to do this.
Okay, thank you. And then the second question I wanted to ask you was, so if the folks at home didn't watch last night, we're discussing about doing a major overhaul of our zoning across the entire city. And that's including this area as well. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay. What I'm kind of wondering, and I'm just going to kind of say this out loud, not necessarily Director Franzik, but to everybody, is does it make sense to vote on this tonight if we're going to be doing it again just down the road when we're replanning everything? That's kind of what's going on in the back of my mind.
Sure.
Because to me, it just makes sense that if we're going to look at everything, you're going to be going to NAM and talking to all the residents. I think that would be a good opportunity then to kind of look at it as a bigger picture.
Sure, that's a great observation. We have two things kind of going on at a similar timeline. The reason we didn't want to wait for this is because whether or not the zoning reform happens and is approved, let's say for this argument it did not get approved, we would still want to correct the R1, R2, and R3 blocks where we feel that we have missed. So this was brought to our attention by repeated calls from neighbors. So this wasn't us going through and looking to make a change. We had a lot of people in the area that had concerns about this. We decided to hold a focus group. At the focus group, we had about 20 attendants. Everyone that was there seemed to agree. We gave them about 6 weeks to mull it over and ask us any questions and let us know if we should proceed or not. And we did not hear any feedback from them, so we decided to proceed.
Thank you for that elaboration on kind of the history behind all of that. I know that these lots have historically been grandfathered in, and I would hope that we would continue to leave them grandfathered in until we can get the zoning figured out, in case something were to happen.
Thank you, Commissioner Cochin. Commissioner Kilgo.
Thank you. Director Franczek, speaking of our public citywide zoning, possible zoning changes that we talked about at the work session last night, what kind of time frame would you say that we're looking at if we were to do the public engagement parts and then bring it to commission for a vote?
So I think the absolute earliest is we would hold the public engagement near the end of July. We may have enough time to get it on the August Planning Commission and subsequent City Commission meeting, but that would be tight. So I would say the earliest would be August or September.
Okay. And I know that, like, from the resident that spoke during public comment, summertime's a good time to do certain renovations because the weather cooperates a little bit better. So if we pass this tonight, it goes into effect immediately, 7 days?
10 days, I believe,
10
yes.
days, okay. Yeah, I don't think I have any additional questions on this particular item.
Thank you, Commissioner Kilgo. Piggyback on that, not trying to go off topic, but just with regard to the zoning reform and that timeline and moving it forward, I would caution not to be hasty with that or try to rush it. Let's be methodical, let's be intentional, let's be engaging and not try to rush that. But I don't want to get too far afield from this topic, which is R1 to R2 for this one section of our city. Vice Mayor St. Clair.
Thank you. Can you remind us again who asked for this zoning change?
Yeah, we received several calls from property owners in the area. So this is the second time we've held these focus groups. The first time was with the medical offices near the former General Hospital campus. So these are always initiated by property owners, and I'd say we probably had repeated calls, probably 4 to 5 that were in this area.
So is it safe to say that this zoning request is in response to actual problems that citizens in that neighborhood are having with their zoning situation?
Yes. Okay. Yep.
So I understand that there are a lot of hypothetical concerns about density and about the very special and unique nature of that neighborhood, although I will add every neighborhood in this city is special and unique. Bluffton is a little different in how they are located. And not to minimize people's concerns, but there are things that we can control and things that we cannot control. And one of the things that we can control is making a change that will fix something that we broke. Is that accurate?
Yes, I would agree with that fully.
All right, so I don't have any further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor St. Clair. Any other questions or comments at this time? Commissioner Cochin.
So I've also gotten a number of phone calls since this kind of came about. And a vast majority of them have been in the opposition to it. I did get an email with an entire family that said that they were in support, and that family is here tonight. So I feel like the issue is a little split, and it's definitely in Beechwood and not necessarily Bluffton. I just want to make sure that we're not missing out on something. There has to be a way that we can continue to protect our environment and help our citizens, right? Because we screwed something up. That doesn't seem fair to hurt them. And I guess my thought on it still is, if we're thinking about doing this in the near future, let's continue to think about it and work on it and not rush into it right now.
Thank you, Commissioner Cochin. All right. I do support this zoning change. It was initiated originally by residents, and staff responded to try to provide relief to those residents, and then did further engagement with the immediate neighbors to understand if this is a problem experienced by multitudes of people versus just something that needs to be fixed for this one site. And due to that, and due to planning practices, best practices as well, when you have multiple properties, in such situations, it's better to rezone them collectively and not try to piecemeal or spot zone, which is not legal to do a city-initiated spot zoning. The concerns that I've heard about this is that it could harm critical dunes, but it isn't a critical dune area, but it does not negate, undermine, or impact critical dune protections whatsoever. The state laws with regard to critical dune areas and developments within critical dune areas still rules and requires permitting and oversight, whether it's R1 or R2. There's no change there. I've also heard concerns about density. It's my understanding that right now there are no vacant lots that changing from R1 to R2 that could then be split, but there are some existing lots with houses on them. There's 7 lots altogether, as I understand it, that could be split if we did R1 to R2, 5 of which have houses, 5 of which could not be split because of how the houses are situated, but 2 of them, because the houses are situated, could potentially be split, where you then would have a new lot. So there's concern about density, but what I'm perceiving about it is that there's a prospect of potentially 2 new lots in the foreseeable future being available, because otherwise those other 5 houses you would have to tear down to then create a split. So right now there's a situation where we're trying to provide relief to residents that are hamstrung by a zoning classification that is not aligned with its original historical development patterns. And so I do think it's appropriate to provide some level of relief, and staff has worked on this diligently and engaged, and I appreciate the responsiveness of staff to resident concerns. And I do understand, other residents on the other side that have reservations, and start thinking of hypotheticals and potential worst case scenarios and what that could look like. I do not see the benefit of this far outweighing any potential damage or concern, because I don't really see any imminent harm. There is the prospect of potentially creating a couple new lots, in which case we could get a couple more houses, and we need more housing in our community at the same time. But nonetheless, same as last vote, I support this. So, Commissioner German, before we get a vote.
Oh, yes. Thank you, Mayor. Director Francis, I'm looking at the footprint. Is it possible that the Madam Clerk could pull up that footprint so the public could see that? And the one that has the red outline, it has an aerial view as well.
This one?
Looks like it looks like it's page 27 on the
27.
packet.
I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
I don't get a chance to get out that way much, but Director Francis, rezoning this, and we have, I guess, an option if we vote in favor of this to add a couple new lots from what was said, or just give me an overall view of how this would make a huge impact for residents. Because I hear the opposition, and I'm looking at the map here.
So this map shows the focus area. These are the ones that would be rezoned. So I think if we go to the scenario maps, might be a better explanation.
Okay.
Page 25.
Thank you.
You could scroll down a little so we can see the title at the bottom. So these are what's currently vacant. There's 7 vacant lots currently that you could build homes on. You can scroll down a little farther to the next page.
Or scroll up, sorry.
Or scroll up.
We started at the bottom.
Okay.
and worked back up.
These are parcels that could be split if we go to R2. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. There's 11. But if we go to that last map that says splits not affected by house placement, the last case.
The purple one?
Yeah.
Okay. That is page 32.
So we see those 11 houses that could potentially be split with this rezoning, but most of them have houses dead square in the middle of the lot. So unless the house came down, you wouldn't be able to split it. These are the 5 parcels that could be split without a problem right now.
And currently zoned as R1, right?
Correct.
Okay. And so in this just this area that's looking to be rezoned, not
Little area, yeah.
okay.
Just this particular
Just
area,
this
yeah.
particular area. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to get some clarity on that. Okay.
Thank you for that clarification because I misspoke on the numbers. So it was 11 altogether
Yes.
that could be split, but only these 5 that could be split with houses on them already.
Yeah, and if you look at the houses, I mean, you can tell it looks like there's supposed to be a house on the other street. These are essentially double lots. They just don't meet today's standard of a double lot.
Okay. Any other questions or comments at this time? No. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Kilgo,
No.
Commissioner Keener,
Yes.
Commissioner German,
No.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin,
No.
St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item, E, road construction contract award to Anlin for New Street and Second Street.
Are you good? Yeah.
Yes,
Sorry, I didn't
Commissioner
know if you're. I moved to authorize staff to enter into a contract with Anlon Corporation in the amount of $1,145,853.25 for the reconstruction of New Street and Second Street according to the construction plans and approved change orders up to 10% of the contract award.
Support.
We have a motion by Commissioner Gorman, supported by Vice Mayor St. Clair. Welcome, sir. Please introduce yourself.
Good evening, Mayor, Commissioners. I am Dan Vanderheit, the Director of Public Works for the city.
Thank you. Care to report out on this item for us, please?
Sure. So this is a request to award a contract to Anlon Corporation, which is a construction contractor for street and utility improvements on New Street from Evanston to Calvin and on Second Street from Houston to Muskegon. And the bid amounts and all of that sort of stuff is in your packet there, and I welcome any questions that you might have.
Commissioner Gorman.
Thank you, Director Vanderheide. I pulled this for transparency once again because I live on Second Street, so that's all.
It's just an acknowledgement that you live on Second
Yes.
Street. Any questions or comments? No? All right. Thank you, Director Vanderheid. Roll call, please.
Sorry.
Mayor Johnson.
Oh, wait. What? Did I miss something?
Yeah, Jay had a
Oh, Commissioner Kilgo.
I have a question. I'm sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
I just thought about it. Director Vanderheit, I'm just curious, how many bids do you, if you know or remember, how many bids did you get for this job?
We received 5 bids.
Okay. Thank you.
All right, roll call, please.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo,
Yes.
Commissioner Keener,
Yes.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item, Annual Action Plan Budget 2024 for Community and Neighborhood Services. Commissioner Keener.
I move to approve the 2024 Annual Action Plan budget for CBD, CDBG, and home programs.
Support.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Keener, supported by Commissioner Cochin. Welcome. Please introduce yourself.
Hi, I am Sharonda Carson, Director of Community and Neighborhood Services.
Good evening. Would you care to report out on this item for us, please?
Yeah, so you'll see we have the CDBG and home allocations. There's a little bit of a decrease between 2023 and 2024. CDBG has been impacted by 11%, home a little bit more than that. It does not have any reflection on our productivity or how we've carried out our programs. Is solely based on the formula set forth by HUD. So there is a 15% cap for sub-recipients, and we are awarding money to the Kids Power of Produce, the Youth Credit Recovery through MPS, MPS Youth Basketball League, True North, and Age Well Services. There's a 20% cap for admin, and you'll see that reflected at the bottom of the budget. It's $177,011.80. And also there is money set aside for public facilities, which is our parks. Our goal is to work with DPW to enhance Reese, maybe adding a pavilion there. So we're excited about that. Home, the allocation is for rehab and construction of homes that will make available for low-income families, and also our CHOTO. And at this point, we don't have a CHOTO, and we are actively seeking one. And we've been talking to different agencies throughout the community in the county to locate a CHOTO. So we're working on that.
And can you share what CHOTO is for folks?
It's our community development housing organization.
All right. I really like the prospect of a pavilion at Reese Field. I hadn't heard that. That's nice. Commissioner Keener.
I just had a couple of questions on the reason for some of the decreases, so bear with me. I see there's a decrease in home repair and facade. Is that because of, is that coming out of the home?
There's a decrease there because you'll see last year it was a little bit higher. We didn't have a lot of sub-recipients that wrote in to receive those funds, and so to offset that difference, which is the 15% cap, which is around $132,000 to support those agencies, and so that's the reason for that decrease.
Okay. And so with that, with where it's standing now, do you all feel like you can still support individuals that still might need that, and maybe with some overage at the end of the year too?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep.
May I interject? Was there also a piece with regard to the priority home repairs that we had carryover program income that, and so
There is also carryover funding that will be available.
from last year? So the total amount's greater than what we're budgeting here because there's some carryover, and that's part of a factor in why it's being reduced this year.
Awesome.
Commissioner Keener.
Now there, I see there is an increase in age well, but there is, the housing ramps is completely gone. Is it because the ramps were not utilized, or is age well going to be taking over that service?
AgeWell is focused on providing meals to seniors, so they will not be taking over Love Inc. So essentially what we did this year, all the applications were viewed by our CDC, and they were ranked. So I ranked them, the CDC members ranked them, and then we chose to award them to those who we felt the strongest about or had the strongest ranking.
Okay.
So.
Because I know that's becoming it's always an increase in need. But I know we have senior resources for that as well. But I know their budget has been kind of hit a bit hard.
Yeah.
Too.
Love Inc. had what? I believe 20,000 was awarded to them last year, and in that amount they've spent under $10,000. So that also plays a part in that. But the good thing about it is I've had a conversation with Love Inc. and they are able to use those additional dollars in the next grant cycle to see if they can spend it all. So they'll have opportunity to continue to access the money that was allocated for them last year.
Okay, perfect. I'm almost done too. Okay, so also with the youth credit recovery, there's a decrease there, but an add-on, a line item add-on for NPS youth basketball. What was the reasoning for that? Why did that score like it scored?
The basketball team?
Yeah, the basketball having money and the credit recovery being decreased for you.
So this program is going into its second year, so we're trying to get our fillers out. There's still some money left over from last year too.
Okay, another one. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
And also just look there in context, the youth basketball program had been funded the previous year out of general fund, not the CDBG, and now it's looking to use the CDBG to fund that program.
nice.
So that's why it's showing zero previously or nothing in there previously. And just for folks at home and on the dais, youth credit recovery is not credit scores, it's school credits. Because I was at first like, why are we trying to do credit score recovery for youth? But no, it's school credits.
Thank you for that clarification to the public. And lastly, True North, why were they scored and brought on? What services are they?
they are looking to provide a service to people who are that may be at risk of losing their homes, and so they're trying to. I'm drawing a blank here, but basically provide funding for those people who may be experiencing eviction. To help them.
So like just mortgage and eviction assistance.
Yeah, to combat the homelessness situation. So.
Okay. Thank you. Appreciate you.
Thank you, Commissioner Keener. Commissioner German.
Oh yeah, thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Director Carlson.
Hi.
Commissioner Keener addressed some of the questions that I had. When I think about your department that you oversee, I think we've had conversations before when we talk about home repairs and knowing the significance of like senior citizens who cannot go out and get refinancing for their homes or don't have the disposable income to make repairs. I'm kind of saddened to see, the decrease in funding. As we talk about all the development that goes on within the city of Muskegon, the price of materials, the increase, these services are going to be needed for these older homes. For example, I spoke with a resident, a constituent last week who applied for funding for an older home who needed a foundation. Well, I think the cap is $10,000 that they can get. Well, foundation now is like $30,000. So that's a disservice from what I was told. Now I didn't see the estimate. So I find it very perplexing to not have more funding available for these homes. And also, I'm also glad to see that the Muskegon Youth Basketball Program are receiving services and funding, I should say, because they missed out a couple years. But that's my major concern. And also now the $20,000 for parks. Could you explain that? Because I know we had ARPA dollars that go to parks. How much was it off the top of your head? Does anyone know? It was a substantial amount of money, $4.5 million. Why is this item for parks? I'm trying to figure out $20,000 that could be used for something else to provide services to our citizens, constituents. Can you give me an explanation on that, please?
Well, to go back to your first question about the cap, so we set a $10,000 cap on the program, on the repairs, because we want to make sure that we can help as many people as possible. And so that's the reason for that. But something that we do in our office is if we can couple grant funds together, that's what we do. If we can stretch the dollars, leverage them, so to speak, and help people. I'm interested to see who that person is that you're referring to. If you can, like,
Yeah,
okay,
I'll make sure I get the information to you.
Okay.
I mean, she's tried before, and I know a couple, because it's like, wow, the services are there, but I mean, if it's a cap of 10 grand and older homes, and what happens is, as we know, the homes become a dangerous home or whatever, and they lose their homes. And I don't want to see that happen to anybody.
right.
So,
We do our best to serve people as best we can. Like I
I know you
said,
do.
leverage the dollars to use different ones together to get the most for our families. But there are situations where our money may not put a dent in what they need. So it's also that we have to be able to use our contractors as the expert in the situation, telling us if this is something that's rehabable or not. So there's many reasons that could play into why somebody wasn't helped, or versus somebody that was.
thank you. for that.
And the question about the parks program, I'm not sure how the ARPA dollars worked in with the parks, but Director Kyle, he reached out to me and said there was some additional funding that was needed to assist with the parks program, and we haven't did anything with the public facilities with the CNS dollars in years. So I thought it was a good segue into partnering with DPW.
Yeah, and what comes to mind when I, see that the parks, and we allocated $4 million to our parks, and that money is going to help out those parks in the community. Just $20,000. I mean, I could think of, something off the top of my head. There's a park called Haymont Park down there. They want a bathroom in that park, and $20,000 could help assist with that. So maybe, that's something can be looked at. I know we can't go back and forth and talk about that now, but
Too, and we did put a pavilion at Amont Park too, and we can't go back to the same places. And-
Which, correct me if I'm wrong, we actually used CDBG funds for that pavilion
we
at
did.
Amont Park
Yes.
a few years ago.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, taxpayers are spending money, paying their taxes, being loyal citizens. And I just feel that sometimes when we look at these budgets, we're not putting enough dollars to increase the amount of services to help them in these needs. So that's something that I would just like to see. Maybe, few $1,000s added for services, and where that money may come from, or those funds may come from. I guess that's where you all come in at, and being creative.
Okay.
I mean, I work for my constituents, I work for the community, so these are issues and needs that I'm addressing, not my needs.
Thank you, Commissioner German. Bathroom certainly would be nice at Amor Park. I know it's something they would like. Right now, there's a porta-john there, an accessible porta-john, which suffices for the time being. It would be nice to have a bathroom there, but that would be in the hundreds of thousands. The 20,000 certainly would not accomplish that. I will just also note that while we did use $4.5 million of ARPA to commit to our park system, with that being spread out over the next 3 years, I don't want to say drop in the bucket, because 4.5 is significant, but it is not even half of what we need to invest in our park system. So there's a long way to go. I did see you, Commissioner Keener, but I want to go to Commissioner Kochin on the first time, and then a follow up with you, unless there's anyone else. Oh, Commissioner Kilgo. I'm going to go at everyone first, and then I'll go back to you, Commissioner Keener. Commissioner Kochin.
Thank you. First off, thank you so much, Director Carlson, for coming up tonight. And I appreciate you presenting all of this. And I definitely can echo some of Commissioner German's concerns for our citizens, our senior citizens and our low-income citizens. I was disappointed to see those home repair buckets dropped as well. I sit on this board, though, so I know the reasons why. And, a big part of it is the fire station bond being carried over this year. So that's one of the things to kind of keep in mind if we want to try to get more into some of those other buckets, if we could reduce that fire station bond in the future. that would be a great way to do it, because right now our budget was cut by 11%. And we, just like the city has its buckets that they have to have their money in, the CDBG has their money in buckets that they have to spend in. So unfortunately, things had to get cut. But I do echo that sentiment and concern that I would really like to see, our citizens taken care of, and they are definitely always in my thoughts and concerns. And I know that with the holding over of the fire station bond to be able to maybe get that grant writer, we'll be able to get some more monies and maybe apply that to helping people. Maybe not with the CDBG, but in other ways. So, but thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Koshin. Commissioner Kilgo.
Thank you. Hello, Miss Carson.
Hi.
You get some freshman commissioner questions now. If a citizen needed help with a ramp, with us moving it to 0, the city would not be able to help them. We would direct them somewhere else.
Yeah, unfortunately.
Okay.
And like I said to Commissioner Keenan, they still have pretty much all of their budget from last year that they'll still be able to work with this year.
And
So,
that is Love Inc. you're talking about?
yes.
And they help with
And they
things
do
like
the
that?
ramps. Mm-hmm.
Okay. And then I also echo Commissioner German's concern with us having a budget line item for the Parks Department with these specific funds. Our Parks Department is gonna, it's from 3-4 years ago. This year and next year, we're improving stuff, and I know our Parks Department is gearing up they're doing some great stuff, some good programs that we have this summer and stuff like that. So I'm sure, like the mayor said, that they definitely could use the money in different areas. But I guess my next question is, if we voted no to this, then you all would just have to go back to the drawing board and redo the budget?
For the parks?
No. I guess my question would be if, and I'm not saying that I'm voting no, but if this didn't pass today, then Ms. Carson's department would have to go back and.
Your options are, and legal counsel and Mr. Manager can chime in and clarify if I'm not being complete in my answer or accurate in my answer. But the options are: 1, to approve it as is, amend it and approve it, deny it, and or refer it back. I think a denial would be referring it back, but I don't know if we need to make a second. I guess we could refer it back without denying it. Yes, sure. We could refer it back without denying it for CDC review again. But Mr. Manager.
Yeah. I think the answer, those options are correct. I would put out a qualifier that there is the CDC committee that worked to make this recommendation, review the applications and rate these, and this is their recommendation that have been working with Sharonda and her team to make this. Sorry, Director Carson, to make this recommendation. So, because this is a group that's tasked with that, if there was a concern, I would say it would need to be returned to them with some specific feedback, but keeping in mind that they worked hard to make this recommendation to you.
The other caveat, though, is that this is not adopted today. We basically would not be able to adopt our fiscal year budget either for the public hearing. So we would need to, we could choose to delay it anyhow, but if this is not adopted, we would have to delay a vote on the budget to the next meeting, knowing that we must adopt a budget before the end of this month.
Sure. Yeah. If we have a committee, and I know that you and your staff, you guys have worked really hard on this, and you're taking the recommendations from citizens and people on the committee and stuff like that. So I really appreciate you all putting in this work. And I know some of us are looking at it tonight like this went to 0, that went to 0. And I like to make sure that citizens can still get help in certain areas where they were able to get help in the past and stuff. if we still have resources for certain things, I think that's good. Yeah. I'll
And
just
some
leave
of those items that you see zeros by, they still may have access to the previous funds. Because we have 3 years to spend down the money. So they do like the builder's license pilot, that money is still set there. The blight fight for McLaughlin is still there. So we have that, and we also have municipal funds that we receive for our seniors, that we can use at our discretion.
Awesome. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kirill. Vice Mayor St. Clair.
Thanks. Thank you for all your work on this. I was the commission liaison on the Citizens District Council for 2 years before this, and I know how carefully this group of very concerned citizens goes through these applications and that they take it very seriously. I think there might be some misunderstanding on the ramps. Can you please clarify, did the city build ramps for people with that $20,000 last year? What happened with that money?
So that was a sub-recipient fund to
Can
Love
you break
Inc.
that down for people that don't speak that language?
Yeah, so basically we made available $20,000 for Love Inc., who is an agency in the city of Muskegon, to provide that service to the community.
Okay. And they had access to $20,000 and spent 10 of it?
Under 10.
Under 10.
I'm not sure about the exact amount right now.
So then there is still another $10,000 that they could use, more than $10,000 that they could use to build ramps until the next year's cycle.
Right.
Okay. And then we've talked about some of this, but did you indicate that the did all of the money get spent in priority home repair and the residential facade funds? So we funded that last year. They did not spend it all. There is still money available that can be rolled over this year.
Yes.
Okay. So does that, do you happen to know about how much money did not get spent last year?
I do not know off the top of my head. I have it on my desk, but I do not know off the top of my head.
So we know it wasn't
But I think it was around
$200,000.
60%.
Okay. So
that was spent. So, and that's what made me feel comfortable with making that cut.
that
too.
will be made more than whole this
Right.
year. Okay. So there were those, and then I noticed the fire station bond was $213,000 last year, and this year it's $185,800. So that is a reduction.
That is, it is a reduction. It was reduced 90%, and the accurate number is 211,000 and some odd dollars.
So we did not fund that fully, and that's coming out of something else.
Right.
Okay. And that was a deliberate effort that we've been working on for a few years now to wean off that bond from the CDBG. Okay. I think that's all my questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor St. Clair. Follow-up, Commissioner Keener.
Next time, Ms. Carson, I promise I will come see you because I don't like wasting public time or your time. And I should have came to you with all these questions beforehand. But real quick, what is service delivery?
Service delivery is basically, it's essentially how we work with our clients anytime that we're meeting, going to their houses, filing paperwork, printing, working with our contractors, anything that goes direct to the service.
Okay, so kind of like an admin portion. And then my last question, I believe, the youth summer internship program, is that like a program that's not happening this year, or?
So we still have the pot of money for internships, and that's the opportunity for any youth that is attending college to be an intern for the city of Muskegon in our
they get a little stipend.
Yeah.
Oh, that's nice.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep, it's a pretty nice one too.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
I try to leave room in there for at least two. So.
Okay, that's good to know. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Keener. Before I go to Commissioner German, Commissioner Cochin had hand up first for follow-up. Commissioner Cochin.
So yeah, I just wanted to ask, because there seems like there's some concern regarding the parks portion, and you said that comes out of the CNS. Can you explain what else that could be used for out of the CNS bucket?
If it is not going to the public facilities, it would essentially go back into one of the home repair categories.
Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner German.
Oh, yes, thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Commissioner Keener, for the question for the youth summer internship. I think that's an essential piece of service that the city can provide. But in 2024, there's nothing allocated for in the budget for this year, right? For these youth summer internship.
No.
But you have money left over, you said. And approximately how much are we talking that's left over? Is that the 20,000?
It's 20,000.
Oh, it is the 20,000. Okay. And the reason why that's dear to me, because, as an educator, I work in education and done it for years. And right now, as a student success coach, these students go, as you know, we all have attended, college and undergrad and went on to have the opportunity to serve and to have jobs or an internship is good for their resume, but also the experience. So I'm glad to see that. Now, going back to the parks, and this is the part that, again, that I struggle with. Is our Parks and Recreational Director in the chamber tonight?
No.
Okay. Because I really want to know what it is that these services, this $20,000 is going to be provided for, knowing that we allocated money through our ARPA funds for our parks. So
It was my understanding that Reese Park was one that wasn't getting the attention it needed, and it could benefit from the use of a pavilion. That park is frequently used by a lot of people in the area, out of the area, and it's a big park. And so I just agree with Kyle when he said that it could use it. So
yeah, I understand. Yeah.
But that's what my understanding is, that he didn't have enough in his budget for that particular park.
All right, thank you for that explanation. Looking at this, I'm not in favor of approving this. I don't know how the other commissioners feel. And I respect the fact committee members that serve on this committee, the work and time and effort that they put into it, let you know publicly. I appreciate that, and it doesn't go unnoticed. But at this juncture, I just can't support this tonight.
Thank you, Commissioner German. Just a couple points of clarification with regard to the numbers, Director Carson. So we were talking just before the meetings, and you mentioned that there was a change with the fire station bond payment that is now $211,655.84 that's in here. The difference then was put into priority home repair?
Yes.
Okay, so the reduction, so it frees up 20,000 or so, goes in priority home repair. But then also, I think you mentioned before the meeting that due to some technicalities in the application, the youth basketball was going to be dropped to 12,000.
Yes.
And so that difference also is going to the priority home repair.
No, that difference went into True North.
True North. Oh, so
Yes.
that went into True North. So we're seeing $50,758 for True North, and then an extra 20,000 ish going into priority home repair, from what we see on this screen.
And I will be sending that to you guys first thing in the morning, so you'll have that.
I just want to vocalize it so you know there's a few tweaks that were made to it before we vote on it. Commissioner Cochin.
Okay, just for a point of clarification, because I got a little lost there, because I'm not looking at the numbers. So the difference is there's additional $20,000 that's going into the home repair, right?
Yep, residential facade.
Into the residential facade. Okay. But not the priority home repair. No. Okay. All right. I just want to make sure I'm understanding.
So we're looking at approximately 90,000 in residential facade. Okay. Any further questions or comments at this time? No? Okay. Roll call, please.
Vice Mayor St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo,
Yes.
Commissioner Keener,
Yes.
Commissioner German,
No.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. And also thank you, Director Carson. Appreciate your implementation of that scoring system with the committee and creating a unified matrix in which the committee is reviewing these applications and scoring them and determining which has priority. So thank you for your work.
You're welcome, and thank you too.
All right, next up, contract for mediation and restorative services. Vice Mayor St. Clair.
Thank you. I move to approve the contract with mediation and restorative services.
Support.
We have a motion by Vice Mayor St. Clair, supported by Commissioner German. Welcome back. If you could please introduce yourself.
Mike Franzik, Planning Director.
All right. Care to briefly report out on this for us, please?
Sure. So we contracted with Mediation and Restorative Services last year on a 13-month contract. They were very successful in their outreach program, and we'd like to work with them again. They're asking for an additional $40,000 over this next 12 months, and we do have Jackie Holberg and her associate with Mediation and Restorative Services here tonight.
All right. Thank you, Director Franzik. Vice Mayor St. Clair.
Thank you. I just wanted to give an opportunity for the community to hear about the good work that has been done in this. I think this is one of the better things that we've supported recently, and I just want to hear about it.
I would agree, and I think they would have a better job explaining it than I would. So
Before, just a moment, Commissioners, do you have any questions for staff before we hear from the agency? Commissioner Kilgo.
Yes. Director Francis, additional to how much? How much are we talking additional? Or just 40 for the next fiscal year?
it's not additional. It's 40,000 for the 12 months. Last year it was 47 for 13 months.
Okay, I just needed that clarity. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Kilgo. Unless there's any other questions for staff, we'll welcome up the agency. You'd kindly introduce yourselves and your organization.
Yes, good evening. Thank you so much. I'm Jackie Hallberg, the Executive Director of Mediation and Restorative Services, and this is the amazing Social Equity Coordinator through our office funded by the City of Muskegon, Ari Jacobs. And Ari is the one that is boots on the ground, non-stop, all the time. So I just wanted to highlight really quick on the agenda, it does say that we provide youth counseling. Because I'm a licensed therapist, I want to make sure that it is not traditional therapy. We would be asking for a whole bunch more money if we were doing therapy. But what we do is we do prevention and outreach awareness education. And guys, this is a tough topic. You know, in our city, it's tough to get families to even want to talk about happy things sometimes with providers or agency people. When you're talking about your kids possibly using cannabis that is illegal in the state of Michigan if you're under 21, it makes them want to run away. Well, Ari has this persona that they just gravitate to her, and she is not waiting for them to call. The first couple of months when we were funded the first cycle, we did all this social media. Come to our agency, come join us on a virtual discussion about this. We got almost nothing. So Ari is boots on the ground. She's going into all areas of the community. She's been at Lighthouse Academy doing curriculum with the teachers and the students. She goes to Muskegon Public, Muskegon Middle. She is doing at least a couple hours every single week at the Community Resource Center at the Muskegon Rescue Mission. And the families she's coming in contact with, not only is your dollars going to this prevention, you are letting families know about some of our other mediation services in some ways that they can resolve crime and conflict without paying a ton of money for attorney fees and getting caught up with the police and the court system. So you have had such a trickle effect. We did have that for 13 months last year because we wanted to make sure to go through the end of the school year, make sure to have to come talk to you and let you guys know what we were doing. And then all of a sudden we're like, we need to try to do this again, because we are starting to have people actually call us now, which they weren't doing in the beginning of this grant, because they're like, that one lady was at this place, or this lady was at my, she's like at every single thing the high school does. There was the World Color Night the other day. She's done the youth last day of school event, and she's connecting with kids, youth, teachers, she's going to the neighborhood association. She's trying to outreach in so many capacities. So you're actually getting a ton of bang for your buck. We were able to reduce every single line item that we thought we would need, except for her wage, because I don't want her to leave. Guys, I can't do this by myself. Our current staff cannot do this. And I know a few of you are new faces since we came a little over a year ago. This is the face that you want outreaching to the families. Not only is she welcoming and educated about it, she's non-judgmental, and she's getting people to talk to her that usually wouldn't. If you were down at Pride on Saturday, it was the first time I had actually sat next to her doing a vendor event. Nobody walked away from our table without all of our literature, and it's like, they never take it when I'm handing it to her. So it was really cool. We have fun colored stickers and handouts that we give to the kiddos. We also give colorful, fun stuff to the parents. One of our biggest concerns is that parents in our community are still saying, I'd much rather our kids use cannabis at home with me than out in the community. And guys, that's a way bigger issue that as a society we have to work on, because I can't say, oh, well, I'd rather them out in the streets, you know? So we are still working and really researching and working with the different drug-free coalitions in town. We're trying to work with different health teachers in the community. What is the best way to target opportunity so it doesn't seem like a punishment, or that we're trying to chastise parents the way they parent their kids, but try to keep kids from getting school sanctions, court sanctions, or getting involved with other issues that could escalate if they are doing things that are illegal.
Thank you. Vice Mayor St. Clair.
I don't have any questions.
Thank you.
Excellent. Any other commissioners with questions? Commissioner Coach?
I don't have a question, but I met Ari at a neighborhood association meeting, and she's very good at communicating with folks and being open and honest and getting you to kind of talk in a way that you wouldn't expect to. So I definitely think that she's the right person for that job.
You know, I cannot thank you enough for saying that. As a boss that's not out in the field every day with them, you know, it gets a little nervous. Is the right message that our agency wants and that me, myself wants being out there? Now, Ari took over this position in November, and she has touched thousands of people that usually would not talk about this topic. And I cannot even imagine what she's going to accomplish in the next 12 months. So I appreciate your support of that.
Commissioner Keener.
Excuse me. What is your current method for data tracking, and how are you tracking your outcomes?
So we are not a huge agency. We are very small. So right now we use Excel databases on everything. We do have a meeting in a week with a cool CRM opportunity that we're hoping to track. She tracks interactions at each event she goes, how many parents, how many kids, was it community members. She tracks also how many events she's actually doing, even if nobody shows up. We also really try to cross-pollinate with some of our neighboring cities, City of Muskegon Heights, and a few things that are done in the Orchard View area, because we know so many kids and families kind of cross borders, and we want to make sure that if they're not hearing it in the city, they're still hearing it when they are out and about in other areas. So she's tracking exactly which schools, which principals are being contacted, which school counselors are being contacted. Has she had any connection with police departments? All the committees that we go to the Social Justice Commission. She's doing things with Health West directly that focus on the wraparound, the kids that are having so many concerns in the community. So we're tracking that, but I cannot give you data in terms of did we keep kids out of the court system. There is absolutely no way to do that, because I don't work for the court. I can't do that. What I do know is about halfway through the last year, the Muskegon Juvenile Court had to change the way that they refer to us. Now a youth, if it's their first time having any kind of underage cannabis connection, it is like a ticket. It's not being referred to our program like it used to be. So that's why it's so important for her to be out there to let people know that you don't have to be court referred to use our services. You can just ask us questions. We're not going to quick call the police on you or anything. If you question about your kid's use, we're going to provide that lending ear, and we're going to support, and we're going to give you lots of opportunities. One of our biggest things, and again, this is not measurable, measurable data, and I wish it was, is to learn different coping mechanisms. So many of the kids that we do talk to say, I'm so stressed, school sucks, I have so much issues, and when I'm under the influence of cannabis, things just seem better. I don't think I can get up without it. They're talking about real life problems that our teenagers and preteens are having that is way bigger than just us. So when we're talking about coping skills, she has this fun wheel. They actually will practice breathing. They will practice drawing something. They'll practice grounding themselves with sensory issues. We can't track whether or not it's going to help them, but we know it's making an impact, especially when they come back. Can I do one more thing? Can I spin one more thing? Can we talk about that? I actually breathed yesterday. It actually worked. So we're excited about that, but I sure wish I could give you better data. What I can tell you is we track everything.
So do you also see the youth coming in repeatedly?
So we go to youth repeatedly. We don't see the one-on-ones that we would love to do because, again, this isn't therapy and it's not like a court or school order for them to see them. We've wanted to keep this as a very non-mandatory opportunity, but to try to be very welcoming. And I know I'm talking much. She does talk, but it's the microphone thing. I'm trying to help her from getting too nervous because we want to save her voice for the kiddos and the families. But really, it's so important to be able to say that we are helping youth and parents learn new tools. We may not see the change that those tools had for 10 years, 3 years, 6 weeks. And so we're excited, and I would love to see that we could actually show the progress in direct numbers, but that's just not something we can do right now.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Keener. Commissioner German.
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Welcome, Jackie and Ari. Got a chance to meet you at one of the neighborhood association meetings. It was a pleasure meeting you, and thank you for the work that you're doing. I think one of the most important things is the awareness that you guys, your service and your company, your business, I should say, does to help youth understand and also educate the public and parents. That was one of my main concerns once this was legalized. Being a parent, myself, grandparent, great-grandparent, I can go down the line, educator, you see this. And so many youth are using cannabis right now. I think to help them deal with these issues and not to partake in that with this information and awareness would be very beneficial to the parents, the families, because I've seen families destroyed. I'm not saying that cannabis is a gateway drug to something, but this here is a resource that they could use. And the organizations that you're partnering with also, you got a chance to present at Muskegon Community College at an all-staff meeting. And I see that you made contact with our Jayhawk Hub, our Student Success Department, which I work at as a part of. So I'm just thankful that we could partner with you and keep up the good work, and anything that I could do to support you all and help youth as I've done in the past. Also, I just like to say publicly, I'm part of the mediation program. I'm going through the training, so I just wanted to disclose that. So I'm trying to give back and also just do what I can to continue the public service as I've done before. So thank you.
I really appreciate that. And we have not found another community doing anything similar to the exact work we're doing with social equity and education like this. We know there's amazing, counseling offices and different programs like that, but to actually see the variety of places she's doing is really a testimony to the City of Muskegon's commitment to say, we want this education out there. We want to outreach in varieties, because a lot of times it's like, just go to the school. Just go to juvenile court. She's doing it all. We're covering every inch of your city and then some. And so we appreciate that you recognize that. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. Thank you.
Any other questions or comments at this time? All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us. More of a thank you for the work that you do. Your agency is very important for our community, and I'm happy that our city is able to fund the creation of this particular initiative as the social equity coordinator. And so I'm happy to continue to support that, and it's a nice use of our cannabis excise tax revenues as well. So thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Keep up the great work. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Cochin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair?
Yes.
Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo?
Yes.
Commissioner Keener?
Yes.
Commissioner German?
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item, another thing that we use our cannabis excise tax revenues to support, Vice Mayor St. Clair on contract for expungement clinics with guns, gaining unity through nonviolent solutions.
I move to approve the contract. There's a typo. I move to approve the contract with guns.
Support.
Thank you. I have a motion by Vice Mayor St. Clair, supported by Commissioner Cochin, to approve the contract with gaining unity through nonviolent solutions.
Good evening. I'm Mike Franzak, Planning Director.
Welcome. Care to report on this for us, please?
Sure. So we worked with guns 3 times last year on expungement clinics. They all went great, very heavily attended. A lot of people were helped to get their records cleared. I was a little skittish on thinking we would need to keep doing this because expungement clinics have been going on for the past few years, but it's still a definite need. We need to keep this going forward. There are a lot of people that need this. Miss Janet Robinson couldn't be here tonight, but she does have Mr. Sandiford here tonight to answer any questions for you. There is an increase in the fee from $8,000 to $15,000 per clinic, but that is much needed. If you were to attend any of these meetings last year, you saw dozens of volunteers working for free, spending their time and really helping out, and they really deserve to be paid. They're doing great work for the community, and I think it's a nominal fee to increase for a great product.
Thank you, Director Franzik. Any questions for Director Franzik before we call up Mr. Sandifer? All right. Mr. Sandifer with Safe and Just Michigan. Welcome. Well, I kind of introduced yourself, but if you could kindly introduce yourself as you please.
Certainly. My name is Kamal Sandiford. I'm the Clean Slate Program Manager at Safe and Just Michigan. We've had the privilege of partnering with Guns and the City of Muskegon over the last year to host 3 fairs. I am happy to report that over the last year we've assisted over 300 people. Of those 300 people, roughly 150 were eligible, and roughly 118 were deemed to be ineligible. Just because they're ineligible, it doesn't mean that they'll be ineligible forever. For those of you that are familiar with the expungement laws, there are wait periods with certain offenses. So we may have screened somebody who was ineligible last year, but they may very well be eligible this year, and that's why it's so important to continue these types of services. One of the things that stands out to me about the expungement fairs with Guns is that it's truly a one-stop shop. Like we do fairs in other counties, other cities, and we don't often have assistance of this nature. So we're truly appreciative of that. With the assistance provided by this council, I know Guns has been able to provide the processing fee needed to process these expungements. They've been able to pay for certified court records. That's something that we're not able to always provide at other fairs. So I just say that just to highlight the importance of continuing to fund these types of events, and I hope that you continue to do that moving forward.
Thank you, Mr. Sandifer. Vice Mayor St. Clair, as the motion maker, I'll go to you first if you have anything to ask.
You actually answered my
share.
question. I was wanting to hear how many people we had helped yesterday, and I appreciate the breakdown of who we could help and who we could help within that. I also appreciate hearing that as a community we do more than other communities, and I think that's sort of a Muskegon thing, and it's just how we are. But it's nice to have that recognized from somebody that isn't from here. So I appreciate that.
Yeah, I'll have to, specifically the 60th District Court, 14th Circuit Court, they've been extremely helpful. At other fairs, we're not always able to provide on-site services. So the fact that they're able to actually come to these fairs and provide court records on site and even allow people to file their applications on site is truly beneficial. So, yeah.
Yeah, that's significant. To be able to access and file on site, that is very significant. Commissioner German.
Yeah. Thank you for coming. Can you just give us an example of how the process works? Someone comes in with a gun conviction or looking for expungement. Just kind of walk us through how this probably would take place.
Yeah, certainly, Commissioner. So first step is identifying what's on that person's record. So when that person comes in, we will run an iChat or criminal background check on that person to identify what offenses are still listed on their record. Once we've identified what offenses are on their record, their iChat is reviewed by an attorney, and the attorney determines whether or not they are eligible for the expungement process. If they are eligible for the expungement process, they will meet one-on-one with that attorney, and the attorney will assist them with filling out the appropriate paperwork needed file for the expungement. In addition to that, the application has to get notarized. They have to get fingerprinted, and fingerprinting is provided on site at the fair as well. And then with the assistance provided by this council, we're able to provide them with the processing fee needed to submit their fingerprints and to file their application as well. It's kind of I'm simplifying it. There's more to it, but that's essentially the gist of the expungement experience.
And just one last question: is there a amount which this would more likely be a felony? Is it a limit to how many felonies they have in order for them to be eligible for the services?
So under the current law, you're allowed up to 3 felonies and an unlimited amount of misdemeanor offenses. The prices vary per person. So, for example, a certified record costs $10 per conviction. So if I have 10 misdemeanors, I'll literally have to spend $10 per record. You're looking at $100 for one person, right? So it's going to depend on what that person's criminal history looks like. In addition, the $50, the most expensive component of the expungement process is a $50 processing fee that gets sent to Michigan State Police, and that's per application. So again, somebody who's filing multiple applications in multiple courts may require multiple $50 money orders. So it can get potentially pretty expensive for certain people, depending on how many convictions they have on their record, and then again how spread out their convictions are, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Commissioner German and Commissioner Cochin.
Thank you. So yeah, I just wanted to thank you guys for coming up tonight. Guns is a pretty unique organization, and I really appreciate that you guys are doing these expungement clinics with the city, because last year when I started sharing information about the expungement clinics, I got a lot of responses, people asking continually, like, it says it's filled up, how can I get in? How can I get in? So the fact that we're going to try to do some more this year really makes me excited for our community, because it's definitely a need. And I appreciate Commissioner German for asking, how that process works. So folks at home, when they're watching this, they can understand how this might work if they're feeling anxious, that about going down there and doing the process. And I also just wanted to thank you guys, because it's not just the expungement clinic that Guns do, but they're also doing a lot of work to reduce gun violence in our community. And I just want to thank you guys for doing all that.
Yeah, and certainly all the credit goes to Janet Robinson. She's the director of Guns. She couldn't be here today, but I know she spearheaded many of those initiatives you just mentioned. So.
Yeah, she does great work, and she pulls together a lot of different resources and agencies to help folks, and even with these expungement clinics, those wraparound services and supports for folks. All right. Any other questions or comments at this time? Nope. All right. Well, thank you so much for joining us this evening. Thank you for the work that you've been doing for a number of years in expungements, and I'm happy to continue to support expungements in our city and clinics. We've made it a priority since day one of opting into recreational cannabis, having a social equity fund, and using a portion of that monies for expungement clinics. And so it's a continuation of that, and thank you.
Thank you.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Gorman?
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin?
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair?
Yes.
Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo?
Yes.
Commissioner Keener?
Yes.
Commissioner German?
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next up, termination of existing purchase agreement and adopting a revised agreement for sale of lots to EB2 Development Limited Liability Company, doing business as Green Rabbit Home Builders. Commissioner German.
Oh, yes, thank you, Mayor. I move to rescind the authority for the mayor and clerk to sign the May 28, 2024 purchase and development agreement and the authorization for the code coordinator to complete the sale of 553, 558, 579, 601, 608, and 621 Jackson, and 50 Alva, and now authorize the code coordinator to complete the sale of 553, 558, 579, 601, 608, and 621 Jackson, and 50 Alva as described in the attached revised purchase agreement, and to have the mayor and clerk sign both the purchase agreement and the deed.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner German, supported by Vice Mayor St. Clair. Welcome back.
Hi. Yeah, welcome back.
First time tonight, but welcome back on this particular item. Yes. So could you just quickly let us know, like, what this kind of just a technicality that we're doing here?
It is. First, I'm Samantha Poulos, Code Coordinator for the Planning Department. And so what has happened here is we're asking for a termination of the purchase agreement signed on May 28th, approved by the commission and signed, and an approval of the revised purchase agreement that we have submitted tonight with the city attorney's changes. If you can look at your copy, you'll see a strike through or different color text where anything has changed. So what has not changed about the project, the bottom line cost has not changed. The amount of houses we'll end up with, which is 15. We'll split the 8 lots into 15 lots. We'll end up with the same amount of houses. That has not changed. What has changed is the document. It's more detailed. There's some timelines adjusted per the city attorney's recommendation to give shorter times, some places longer times, other places to more accommodate a project of this size. And there will be an additional 2 exhibits at the end of the document. The first exhibit A is going to be a list of the addresses as they are now, including their parcel numbers. Exhibit B, which I just very recently got done, so you guys won't see it. I do have a copy here if anyone wants to see it. What that's going to be is that's going to be a list of the new addresses, the 15 addresses, with their new legal descriptions and their prorated prices. And so basically how that worked is if the original lot was $3,000 and I have split it now into 2 lots, it will be represented as $1,500 and $1,500 as far as the sale price goes. So that's going to be our Exhibit B on the purchase agreement. Exhibit C is what you all have in front of you, is the stapled copy, a very detailed outline of what the project will be, including elevation drawings of the houses, the new addresses, the new legal descriptions. You'll see my site plan drawings in there when I create the new legal descriptions, with measurements and streets just for parameter. And yes, so that's what the request is about. And also Green Rabbit is here to answer questions if needed.
Thank you. Any questions for staff on this item? Commissioner German.
Yeah, thank you, Sam, for attending tonight. You said Exhibit B and C. I'm not seeing anything on the agenda.
No, there, you'll see if you, if we can scroll to that attachment, for the revised purchase agreement, there is
Page 116.
at the top of Exhibit B, a description of what it is. And that's the one that I just mentioned, that I very recently finished those descriptions, but I do have a copy if you would like to see it, what it will look like. And this
I'd
is
like to see that.
after the split, so it's gonna give you an outline of all the new addresses and the prices
Thank you.
totaling the same amount as the original purchase.
And also, I would like to hear from the developers themselves, if they don't mind taking the podium.
Wait.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, after we finish this.
Yes, I'll call up people at the podium.
Yeah, don't.
Commissioner Kilgo.
Thank you. Is this a PUD?
No.
Okay, so my questions are about the documents we got this evening, because currently the way that these lots sit, there's there's several of them. Speaking of the ones between Herrick and Alva,
Yes.
there are 4 lots, and they're going to split them up and make them into 6, possibly 7 lots.
We start with 3 addresses, which is 579, 553 Jackson, and 505 Alva. The 7th possible lot is if the developers are able to purchase 15 feet on the southwestern border of that diagram, they could split a 7th lot. And we have talked with them about the placement of the house on that southern Herrick lot. So that could be a future possibility if they're able to gain that 15 feet.
Because it's private.
It's
or
private,
whatever.
and so
Yeah,
we
yeah.
have no control over that.
right.
But we're just trying to plan for, forward-thinking development and to gain more housing, which is
sure.
what we all want, so.
My next question then would be, I asked if it was a PUD because the diagram shows these as 49.6 feet wide,
Yes.
and that currently would not fit in our R1 stuff we were talking about yesterday. So if we change it, it would work fine, right?
Yeah.
But currently, from this design, am I correct in saying that it would not fit into our current R1 zoning?
Technically, it would not. I think I would defer to Mike Franzik, being our planning director, as far as the practice of the planning department to approve plan reviews that are inches off from requirement. So I would probably defer to him for an answer on that.
Yeah, and I am looking forward to, I had asked him earlier when he was up here, I'm looking forward to us bringing, some zoning changes, and we'll talk about that in the future when we get to it. But I did just notice that, and I hope the developers are aware that
Yes.
the way that it currently sits and everything. Okay. I don't have any further questions.
Thank you, Commissioner Kilgo. Yeah, I saw you stand up, so I thought you might have something to add. Please introduce yourself.
Good evening, Jake Eckholm, Director of Development Services for the City of Muskegon. I just did want to quickly address that. I'm not sure. Never mind, Mike showed up, so I thought he had left. I wanted to help, but I'm going to let him do it.
Lots were these on?
The Alva lots, 501, 503, 505, 507.
Mr. Mayor, can I? Oh, thank you, Mike. You weren't in here. I just wanted to make sure that you were aware of what my question was. So the developers gave us this diagram here that shows how they're going to take some existing vacant lots. So they are vacant. They're going to split them up. And I've seen some of the designs that they're looking to build some really nice housing in Jackson Hill. But the way that this map shows, these lots on Alva would be split in 49.6 feet wide, which does not currently fit in our R1 zoning.
So essentially, the question is, would be, if, as I understand it, would they be prohibited from developing on that with the current R1 zoning that requires 50-foot minimum width, or does the planning department and you as the planning director round up in this, give grace and round up and allow this construction with 49.6 feet wide, or what? Is that the crux of the question?
Yes, sir.
We've looked at that before. Sometimes we look at whether or not that's the legal lot of record, and sometimes that comes back to be true. I mean, these probably should be 50 feet if we're going to be doing R1 right now. So this might have been a little bit of an oversight. So I don't know if there's something we can do with the adjacent neighbors to gain a little bit of extra feet, or if we were just going to settle on 3 lots here.
Yeah, it does look like 513, which would be the next address. There's not going to be room to take from the next one to the south. So, and I had told the director that I know we're talking about changing zoning, and if something like that were to pass, these would fit in no problem. But I just want everyone to be aware. Right now, there'd have to be 3 instead of 4.
Yep.
The way that it sits.
That is correct. They would be. So it looks like if they wanted the 4, we'd have to wait for zoning reform, or they could just go with the 3.
Thank you.
Yeah. But I believe the way we worded this was up to the amount of splits. So I guess it's something we're just hoping for in the future.
So, question. So they could split it and make it 49.6, but they just couldn't build on it until either we gave them a variance or we change our zoning.
No, well, we wouldn't be able to split it quite yet, but if extra land becomes available or that rezoning happens, then I think that's where we came up to that number, is up to 13 lots. So we would need that zoning change to get this extra one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Kogo. Any other questions for staff this time? Nope. All right, thank you. We'll hear from the developers then. One of the members had a question for you all. If you'd kindly come up to the podium and introduce yourselves. Now, we did, a couple weeks ago, you presented and we had a good conversation at length about this, so there's no need to necessarily do a comprehensive presentation again, but if you could, please introduce yourselves.
I'm Jennifer Jackson.
Ellen Olney.
Bryant Mitchell.
All right. All with a company doing business as Green Rabbit Home Builders, but otherwise identified as EB2 Development Limited Liability Company. Commissioner German, I think you had a question?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and welcome back. Just looking at the point that Commissioner Kilgo brought up, you're looking to split lots but build 4 homes, and the zoning doesn't allow that. How will you address that for as your development?
We'll just have to conform. Like if they're gonna only let us do 3, then those 3 will just have bigger entry. That's completely fine for us. It still fits our floor plans and what we're looking to do. Those folks will just have bigger lots there.
Okay. Oh, I'm sorry, did you want to say?
In our consideration for what house we would place on what lot, at least to this point, at width in particular to fit on what we expected, for our discussion, what we expected those lot widths to come out to be. So in planning that, looking at, leaving easements aside, how big they need to be and how much. We're already considering that given the size of these lots, whether they're 49 and a half or, up to 50 or 55.
And I'm glad you mentioned that the space or the room on the lots. If you notice the character of that area, homes, they do have space. That's one of the concerns that citizens and residents have had, because we have parks, but to just have the room to go out and not be congested like that in that density. That's a major concern for residents in that community. So how your development fits that scope from what I'm understanding, from what I hear you saying.
Absolutely. Noting the character of the existing neighborhood, having the houses, fit in, that, having individual character, all of those things are very high on our priority list. Because that brings, additional value to the neighborhood too.
And just I'm sorry.
When
okay.
you ask, could you please step forward a little closer to the mic
Sorry.
so folks at home can hear you,
Gotcha.
or people watching on live stream or Channel 96. Commissioner German.
Okay, thank you, Mayor. And just for the record, just let the public know where you're from. And I know you stated that before the last time at the meeting. This just happened to be in the ward that I oversee, in Ward 2, the development that you're looking to do. We also have our president of the Neighborhood Association here also. Just like to know, have you had a chance to speak with the Jackson Hill Neighborhood Association at any time prior to pursuing this development?
We haven't yet, because we've been in this early stage of acquiring what and where we can do, but we absolutely intend to be a community partner with them.
That was on our plan for, like, once this is approved, then we take action, we step in, we make friends, we become more involved. That was our next step after getting this part approved.
Yeah, with the resources and talking with our developers, our staff, they should have directed you to speak with the neighborhood association presidents before you came in front of the commission. That's always been somewhat the steps taken because what they do in the community, how they serve the community as well. So it's just a thought. Yeah. Okay.
Commissioner Keener.
I don't have a question necessarily for the developer, but just a question about having this as an agenda item overall with the whole R1, the rezoning situation going on, and we see the issue that Commissioner Kilgo brought up. I feel like we're kind of contradicting what we're doing with the housing. The intention, as we spent time yesterday, was to have more housing and to reduce down to 3 versus the 6 now. I would rather just wait until we are appropriately zoned for them to build the 6 than to have the 3. I just want to put that out there.
Thank you, Commissioner Keener. Mr. Manager, you had something?
Yeah, so I just wanted to point out that this is just a small aspect of the 15 homes that they're doing. So if this project was to move forward, they could start with other parts of the development, and then we could move forward with the zoning stuff, the zoning changes that we're looking to make, and wait until the point in time that area gets rezoned properly.
Okay.
But because we are talking about 15 total, and this is only a subset of that 15, there is still the ability to move forward with it at this point. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Commissioner Kilgo.
Thank you. And just for clarification, so I don't know where the oversight was, and it doesn't matter, but I don't like oversights. So the 4, if you all were to start building on the Alva and split these lots, it was on the diagram that I have in front of me, it was supposed to be 4. If we never change any zoning in the city, it would have to go to 3 for you all to be able to fit them. And what you were saying was you'd be okay with going to 3 on that lot instead of 4. And then on the other side of the street on Herrick, there's potentially 3, but if you were not able to gain that extra 15 feet from the neighbor to the south, then you would have 2 there, correct? But the other lots all fall in line with our current zoning. So you would be able to start, I think what Mr. Manager was saying, you'd be able to start on one of the lots that currently is conforming and leave some of those ones to see what the city does with their zoning.
Yeah, 100%. And even if those, let's say we walk, 6 months, however long it takes, and the zoning doesn't pass, what we can do is work with our architect, and we can turn that house, and instead of it being narrow facing, we can turn it so it's sideways, and now you have a broader house, and it fits the area, giving people space, bigger backyards, the ability to have a swing set instead of a narrower situation. So.
Awesome. Thank you.
Hey, Commissioner Kogo. Any other questions or comments at this time?
Just a comment, Mayor.
Yes, Commissioner.
Yeah, going back to the concern with Commissioner Kilgore, the oversight that was stated by also Director Forensic, that gives me some concern. Having to deal with this now. A little hesitant to see, because I don't know if the commission would actually approve to rezone. So that's, you know my thought. That's pretty much it. Yeah.
I think as we approach this, we need to look at just what current circumstances are, not what may happen in the future in terms of this zoning change or that zoning change. Like, it's incumbent upon them to decide appropriately, like, does it make sense to wait, or should we move forward as the zoning exists currently? And I think that's the prism which we need to look at as we approach this. That's the prism we looked at it 2 weeks ago when we approved this. I think it was a 5-1 vote when we approved this 2 weeks ago. So. In that regard, I don't think anything necessarily has changed from my perspective. This is more of like housekeeping and technical updating of the agreement. But you had something to add, sir?
Yeah, when we originally signed up to purchase these lots, I think there were only 3. So we were fine with 3. We were fine placing the house in there to make it work. And then when we were notified that there could be 7 in that area, we were like, okay, but our original thought was to have 3 houses side, so you have 40 feet, 45 feet wide house, so whatever works. I mean, we can conform to, whatever you guys are looking for.
Yep.
So.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. You had something to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to remind the commission when we met in January, the number one priority of the commission was to continue the infill housing program, and having investments done by the private sector is a great win for the city of Muskegon on this infill housing program. We've, our infill housing program that we've funded has really kind of pushed the envelope forward, and it's been our hope to get third parties in here to do those investments, and we have this opportunity before us to have this investment in our community, and as the mayor pointed out, 2 weeks ago it was approved, and we're just doing a technical fix here, so the actual conditions haven't changed all of that much, and the things that we're kind of focusing on right now are minor tweaks that would be addressed over time, so I think just keeping that in mind is something to be cognizant of.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. Commissioner Cochin.
I have a point of clarification. So if we do approve this tonight, Mr. Schreier, are we approving just the sale of the overall property, or are we saying that they have to have the lots as drawn here?
No, we've phrased it in such a way that it will be a maximum of 15 lots. Staff will work with the developer as to how those lots will be split and how they will be then recombined. That does not come back to you.
Right.
What's in front of you tonight is simply the sale.
Right.
And expectations that lots will be split and combined, and that houses, single-family houses, will be put on each of the lots that are created.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Thanks for that clarification. Any other? Thank you so much for joining this evening. And Same as I said 2 weeks ago, thank you so much for choosing to grow with Muskegon and invest in Muskegon and create more housing options and opportunities. And I know that you also have a focus on greening of the development itself and trying to make it attainable, as cost attainable as possible. Thank you. All right, roll call, please.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo,
Yes.
Commissioner Keener.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next up, sales agreement for Nelson House. Vice Mayor St. Clair.
Thank you. I move to approve the purchase agreement as presented and authorize the mayor and clerk to sign.
Support.
We have a motion by Vice Mayor St. Clair, supported by Commissioner Gorman. Welcome, good sir. If you care to introduce yourself, please, and report out on this item.
Good evening, Jamie Pesh with the Planning Department.
So what's going on here?
We are looking to acquire ownership of the Nelson House from Muskegon Public Schools, the current owner.
Excellent. And do what with it?
Well, we're looking to move the Nelson House, as you all are aware. This will take place in early July. We are shooting for July 9th for the move. Deeds House Movers has been prepping the site, prepping both the site it will move to and the house itself, preparing for the move. The school board approved this, I believe it was last week at their meeting, the sale. There were a few changes made in the past few days to the agreement. That was just correcting some of the dates that were in there that didn't align with the construction schedule that we agreed upon with the school district, as well as just an incorrect address that was left in the agreement.
All right. So this is moving forward after all, and the cost for that asbestos remediation, we got it requoted, and it is now feasible to do that as well as relocate the home for preservation and ultimate restoration.
Correct.
All
Yeah,
right.
it's been a
Excellent.
while
That's
since
exciting.
the update.
Thank you for your work on that. Vice Mayor St. Clair.
So, super exciting. Can you speak to what the steps would be after we acquire, move, and plant the house?
We're not quite there yet, but what we're planning is a development and sales agreement. And what we're likely going to do, instead of listing it on the open real estate market, we're going to have a sealed bid submission period. And from there, we will open sealed bids and return to you all, I would assume with a recommendation on whatever interested buyer submits the best bid, more or less.
So the intent is not for the city to take on the rehab process.
No, this
We're just
house will
moving
be
it from A to B and passing it on.
correct. It will be put on a new foundation on the new lot and then put for sale and as is condition. If anything, we'll correct some of the issues that might exist after the move, just that things get moved around and there might be a few minor changes here and there that have to be addressed, but the majority of the rehab of the house will be the responsibility of a future owner.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Vice Mayor St. Clair. Commissioner Cochin.
Yes. So first of all, I would like to disclose that a distant family member is in charge of moving this house. So it's my dad's uncle's son, whatever that makes him to me. So, but I do not have to step down to recuse myself from the vote. But I am also just very excited to see that we were able to pull together to save this historic home. It is a beautiful house, and I think once it gets moved to its new location, it's really going to be an asset to the city in that location. And I'm excited to see who buys the house and, the work that they're going to do on it. Also, thank you, Vice Mayor Sinclair, for elaborating on the process of what's going to happen with the city after the move of the house, because we're not going to be doing all the remodeling and everything ourselves. That's not something that we're taking on. So I just wanted to thank you and disclose that.
Thank you, Commissioner Cochin. Any other questions or comments before we go to roll call? Commissioner German.
Yeah, just a quick question. Thank you, Mayor. And thank you, Mr. Pesh. I know we had this conversation before. It was brought in front of the commission. The cost to move this home is going to cost the city how much?
It was in the realm of $250,000 for the agreement with Deeds House Movers. And
There are additional costs tied to utility companies, making sure that all the utilities that are on site are, or in the route that the house is moving, are moved out of the way appropriately. Very similar process to, coincidentally, another house that the city purchased from the school district that was at the site of the new middle school and moved to a new lot on Terrace Street.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner German. All right, if there's nothing else, roll call, please.
Commissioner Keener,
Yes.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman. Yes. Commissioner Cochin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson,
Yes.
Mayor Kilgo.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
We'll have more information about the move being publicized as we lead up to that date, so there will be places for the public to safely watch it. A lot of coverage, we're getting approached by news stations, things of that nature, so there'll be a lot out there about it.
Awesome, looking forward to it, and thank you again for your hard work on this. All right, going on to public hearings for request for an industrial facilities exemption certificate with Forming Technologies LLC at 2675 Olthoff Drive. Welcome, if you'd kindly introduce yourselves.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Jocelyn Hines, and I'm the development analyst here for the City of Muskegon. So the public hearing is pertaining to industrial facilities tax exemption certificate for Forming Technologies LLC, or known as Formtech. Formtech is an industrial facility that specializes in shipping products using a thermal forming process. Formtech has been in our community since November of 2024, and due to its new ownership, it has grown the business tremendously. With the consistent growth and partnership with Blue Water Industrial Development LLC, they are looking to expand their facility that will be located on 2675 Olthoff Drive. This new facility will be about 195,000 square feet and will produce around 72 new jobs over the next 4 years, which will make it an investment of about $16 million investment in real property. And so after hearing public hearing, it's a recommendation to do a 12-year tax abatement due to the job creation and real property investment. We are joined by the developer, Doug Poland, here, as well as Forming Technology, Andy, who is the plant manager, with also support from GMed. Marla is also here as well. And if there's any questions in regards to employment or demographic information, Director Thompson can assist in those questions as well.
Excellent. Thank you for that report. Oh yeah, this is a public hearing,
Yeah.
so we will withhold commissioner questions and comments till after we complete the public hearing, but accept the motion, and then we'll get into questions of staff or the developer or the business owners. So, is there anyone in the audience that wishes to speak on this item?
Dwana Thompson, EEO and Employee Relations Director for the City of Muskegon. I met with Melissa Smith, their HR, and they do have an equal opportunity policy for Forming Technologies, and I do have the totals for their demographics information. They have a total of 93 employees, 60 Caucasian at 65%, total minorities at 33 at 35%, 84 males at 90%, and 9 at 10%. And that completes my report.
Thank you for sharing the demographics. We're going to go to the phones here in a minute, unless there's anyone else in the audience that wishes to give comment during this public hearing. Yes. Will you kindly introduce yourself?
Marla Schneider, I'm President CEO of Greater Muskegon Economic Development, and I'm just here to show our support as the economic development agency for the county of this project. The job creation is significant, and the expansion that we're seeing for this company in the city of Muskegon is also significant. So we believe this to be a project that should be supported with the 12-year tax abatement.
Thank you, Ms. Snyder. Anyone else in the audience wish to give comment on this item? I'll give you an opportunity. Are you with the company? I'll give you an opportunity once we get the motion, so you don't need to speak during public hearing. Anyone else wish to give comment during public hearing? Nope, we're going to go to the phones. That is 231-724-6721. If there's anyone wishing to give comment on the Commission's consideration of issuing an industrial facilities tax exemption certificate for a 12-year abatement for Forming Technologies at 2675 Olthoff Drive. So only call in on that item for this public hearing. No calls.
No, Mayor.
All right. Commissioners, I would entertain a motion to close the public hearing and approve the attached resolution.
I move to close the public hearing and approve the attached resolution granting an industrial facilities exemption certificate for a term of 12 years for real property to Forming Technologies LLC to authorize the mayor and clerk to sign.
Support.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Keener, supported by Commissioner Kilgo. And now, if you'd kindly step up to the podium and introduce yourselves.
I'm Doug Pullen with Blue Water Industrial Development. This is Andy Sharon with Forming Technologies, and we're just here to answer any questions that you might have about the company. I think it was, and Andy can correct me, company was originally started here in Muskegon in 2004.
Yes, started operations in 2005.
2005, and then change in ownership in 2022. Since then, they've been growing very rapidly, really overflowing their current facility. So we've assisted them getting some additional 55,000 square feet of space on a short-term basis. They have very high power needs, so there aren't very many facilities that can host them without significant power upgrades. And so this new building will allow them to continue to grow without leaving the community.
Excellent. Anything you want to add?
No,
Before I go
you
to
summed it up.
All right, excellent. Well,
Summed it
congrats
up.
on your success thus far.
Thank you.
Commissioners, any questions for Commissioner Kilgo?
Thank you. You haven't started on your new building yet? Okay, so my question then would be, what do you think time frame would be to where, because I know you're not going to add 93 jobs all at once. How soon, like a year from now, a year and a half from now, to where you'll start hiring from, hopefully, our citizens that already live in Muskegon?
So as soon as the building is constructed, and I think their time frame is 16 to 18 months from the time that they can break ground. We'll probably start to hire before that because we'll need to have personnel to be able to move the equipment, start the operation. Because we're going to continue to operate in our current facility on Laketon, and then we also lease space that we're utilizing now as well. And then, like Doug said, the plan is to move into the new facility. So 16 months.
Yeah, so
12 to 16 months, we'd probably start ramping up employee base.
We went under contract with the city, I think May 15th, about, John, and we've got a 60-day lease-up period. So right now, the developer and the tenant are working on reaching a final lease agreement. We'll get that signed. Then we have a 90-day due diligence period with a couple, I think 2 30-day extensions, but we want to get it approved as quickly as possible. We're hoping to be able to start construction this year, before the snow flies. I suppose, depending on how things go, there's a chance that it could be, construction start could be delayed until next spring, but we're hoping to be able to get going and get enough done this year that we can continue on through the winter. If we're not impeded by weather, by winter conditions, we should be looking at about a 12-month construction schedule. And they can then begin moving in when the building, we've got our occupancy permit at about the end of that 12-month from construction start. I think in our application, we were really hoping we could start in September. But yeah, quite a few things to take care of before then. And then I would defer to Andy on,
how long it takes to move the operation, get set up, and so forth.
Yeah, it'll take us 6 months to be fully into the new.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, Commissioner Keelgo. So is this going to be a consolidation then? You mentioned leased facilities in Northern Shores. So it'd be consolidation and further expansion?
Yeah, so Laketon and Norton Shores would go away, and it would be into this new.
Okay.
I think Laketon is about, what,
We have
75,000 square
Laketon's
feet?
60,000 square
60.
feet and 55 in Norton Shores. So we're going to 195.
Okay. So combined plus room to grow further. Excellent. Commissioner Cochin?
Yeah, thank you. Jay kind of answered my first question there. So the second question I have in regards to your employees is what was the starting wage for your employees that you'd be looking to hire?
We hire at $18 an hour, but we offer a $2 an hour incentive if they come to work every day. So you could make $20 an hour.
Nice, wonderful. And then and this might not be a good question for you guys, but do you know what's going to happen to the other empty spaces?
So they're just both leases. The one that we're in on Laketon is a long-term lease, so we would probably have to find a subletter for that. And then the Norton Shores facility is just a 2-year short-term lease, so that'll eventually just go away.
Okay, and you're not seeing finding a subletter to be prohibitive in this process?
No.
Excellent. And then the last question is, as far as the tax abatement goes, how do you guys think that that's going to help your business?
Well, we got a nice hefty incentive program from the state as well. So it's just going to allow us to invest more in our employees, be able to hire better employees, and increase the amount of equipment that we have in our facility as well. With the amount of equipment that we have today, we can't sustain a facility that large, so it's going to have a significant equipment investment.
Thank you. And part of that equipment investment will be safety concerns as well as the environment?
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner Cochin. Any other? Commissioner German?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and welcome. Congratulations on your business. And one of the questions is, it says foaming technology. Can you just kind of give us a oversight of exactly what it is that your company do?
Sure. So we make industrial packaging, so big, heavy gauge, returnable plastic containers. So basically, we're in the shipping business. So we cube out the back of a semi-trailer. So if you think about automotive parts, we're packaging those to get the best density inside the trailer so that our customers save on freight.
Okay. And so you're looking at 12-year abatement. States here about $2.1 million over 12 years. Also, we got a report on the demographics and the racial characteristics. I'm seeing what it says here: whites 60 employees, minority 33, a total of 93. When we talk about minorities, I guess our director for the EEOC can come up and just kind of give me a detailed description on when we talk about minorities, why isn't that broken down into ethnic groups like blacks, Hispanics, Asians?
I do on the report that I have. The one that was submitted to you may not have that, but I do have demographic breakdown. Okay. Do you want something?
I would like to hear it, and also for the community and the public, so they will have an idea of what the company's hiring practices is when it comes to hiring.
Okay, so I'll go through job classifications then. Assistant supervisor, there are 2 white males. Engineers, there are 2 white males and 1 white female. Finance, there is 1 white female. Machine operators, there are 7 Hispanic or Latino males, 20 white males, 17 black males, 4 2 or more races, 3 white females, 1 black female. Managers, there are 7 white males. Office staff, there's 1 white male and 1 white female. Sales, there's 2 white males, 1 white female. Shipping and receiving, there's 1 black or African American male. Supervisors, there are 4 white males, 1 black or African American male, and 1 white female. Technicians, there are 2 Hispanic or Latino males, and there are 12 white males, and vice president, there are 2 white males.
Okay, thank you
That's the complete
for that information. Now, my concern, and I see the diversity within your organization when it comes to making decisions and room for growth. The city of Muskegon has a very diverse population, and I would like to see, or should have seen, some type of diversity within your upper management. And from the report and the status, I didn't see that when it comes to like engineers. Are you receiving applications from diverse? I mean, I should say Hispanic, Black, Asian population when it comes to applying for upper management positions, or I'm just trying to get an idea.
Not really. And just to clarify, so the way Forming Technology started, we were a business unit of AmeriForm or KL up north. I think they're all familiar with that company. And that business unit was sold, and we became Forming Technologies. Most of the managers and the people that are supervisors and managers in our company came over from AmeriForm. So we've all been there for 17 years. So we don't have a lot of turnover. But to answer your question, we don't see a lot of resumes from a diverse group. Most of it is from white males.
Okay.
No, they do have 1 African American male supervisor.
Yes.
And there's.
And he came with us from AmeriForm as well.
Yeah. And hopefully.
And there's only 5.
Yeah.
So.
Right. And I'm just looking for room for growth as Muskegon grows.
Sure.
Your business grow, and hopefully those opportunities will be available as we push diversity, equity, inclusion, and a sense of belonging all through the city of Muskegon. So, thank you.
When I did speak with their HR, they did agree that if they did need assistance with recruitment sources for.
That's great. Thank you.
We're ready and available to assist and help however we can. And so this does meet, we have a tax incentive policy, and there's a matrix in which it's scored, and this meets the scoring that qualifies them for up to 12 years of this IFT abatement. This abatement is not a 100% abatement. This is a 50% abatement on the new taxable value being created. And so with this investment, with your $16 million investment in real property, it's anticipated to generate for the city of Muskegon $102,334 in new taxes, half of which will be abated for the 12-year period. But we will be seeing $51,167 in new property taxes coming to the city of Muskegon alone, as well as the income taxes being generated from the 72 new jobs that are anticipated to be created. And there is a clause in this certificate, as we have in all of our certificates, that if they are not meeting the terms or the expectations, there's an opportunity to revoke the certificate. So, any other questions or comments at this time? All right. Well, thank you, gentlemen, for joining us tonight, and thank you for your continued investment in Muskegon and choosing to grow with us. Okay, so we are going to roll call, please.
Commissioner Kilgo?
Yes.
Commissioner Keener?
Yes.
Commissioner German?
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman? Yes. Commissioner Cochin,
Yes.
Vice Mayor St. Clair,
Yes.
Mayor Johnson.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item. Transmittal of the 2024 to 2025 proposed budget.
Good evening. I'm Kenneth Grant, Finance Director.
Good evening and welcome.
How you doing?
So it's the culmination of many, many months of work by you and your team to put together this budget for our next fiscal year.
Yes. So 2 weeks ago, the city manager presented the budget and did a PowerPoint for you guys. It gave you time 2 weeks to look at the budget and see if you had any questions or concerns with the budget. So I'm here to answer any of your questions and see if you have any questions for the upcoming budget.
Okay. And so this is a public hearing tonight. We'll hear from anybody in the audience or at home that wishes to weigh in on this. The commission has the opportunity after the public hearing to adopt the budget as is. It could be deferred to the next city commission meeting, but it does need to be adopted. A budget needs to be adopted, must be adopted before month's end, because our new fiscal year starts July 1st, 2024. So where can we have the budget? It was shared with us.
The budget is available. We have a physical copy in the clerk's office. We also have it available online for the public to access.
Okay, excellent. So commissioners, since your review of the budget, are there any questions that you wish to ask of finance director or management at this time?
We don't do that before the public.
We can do it right now. We will.
We got the answers.
Yeah, let's wrap up the public. Well. Yeah, let's go through all the staff questions and or commissioner questions and comments first. Then we'll hear from the public. Then the commission, a member of the commission, decide on closing the public hearing and whether to adopt the budget at the same time that we're closing the public hearing. So let's go that route. Questions for staff. Commissioner Cochin.
Thank you, Director Grant. First of all, thank you for all the work that you put into this and the rest of your staff. I know that it is not an easy thing to do, and it takes a lot of hours, and so I wanted to let you know that I appreciate you.
Thank you.
So I've been getting a lot of questions in person and by phone, especially in regards to the beach parking.
Okay.
It has been a point of contention, and so I want to try to get everything out there so everyone knows where the beach parking money is going. How much beach parking funds are we anticipating pulling in this year?
This year we're anticipating $860,000.
Okay. In previous years, say last year, can you tell us how much we made in beach parking?
Last year we collected a little more than $800,000 last year.
Okay, thank you. Is all of the money from the beach parking going towards the parks?
Well, we have a staff. We have parking staff that we pay for, and then some of that, and then most of that goes to the parks, but it's not all allocated to Pure Marquette, but it is part of the parks process. It goes to the parks after we pay the parking officers.
Okay, so it goes to parking officers first and then goes to the parks.
And any other expenditures, like we have to fix kiosks, things like that, expenditures at the beach, anything that we have to maintain that beach parking down there, those expenses are coming out of that
Okay, would you say that that's coming out before the parks portion of it?
Yes.
Okay. And then just to kind of elaborate, if you had to do a guesstimate, obviously not an exact number, but a guesstimate, how much would you say is going to the parks from the beach parking?
After expenses, I would say about $300,000.
Okay. Is that what we were anticipating originally?
We did not know how much we were going to anticipate. We were anticipating, but it has exceeded. I think we were anticipating about 500,000, and then those numbers really went up the first year, and it's been averaging around 800, 850 a year.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right.
And when I usually send out my quarterly reports, I do have a section that shows how much we are generating, how much is going towards the parks and things like that.
Yes, no, and I know that, but I want to make sure that it's out there. Like I said,
Yes.
I'm getting a lot of questions about it, so I'm making it public. Everybody knows where the beach parking money is going.
I just want to add a little bit more context to what Director Grant was just saying regarding on the non-park side of it. So there are some dollars that also go into the public safety side of it as well, because that parking falls under public safety and there's costs associated with that as well. So, but we do the biggest chunk outside of actually operating parking and public safety stuff goes into the parks. So, yeah.
Oh, but thank you for that additional clarity and context. Commissioner Kilgo.
Yes, thank you, Director Grant. I just have a question. So from the budget, which is what we're talking about, the proposed budget is we're budgeting $860,000 for beach parking fees. So that's how much we're expecting to get for
in
next
revenue.
year. Right. Where it's spent or where that money goes to is separate from necessarily the budget. If we change something and parks get a little bit here, something in that line item, there's extra kiosks that break or something, that's separate from the budget. The budget is just saying how much money we hope to expect to get.
Yeah, there's two sides to the budget. We have like how much we're projecting for revenues, and then we also have some line items for the beach parking under. I think they have their own separate line. Let's see if I find it.
Yeah, that's fine.
Shoot, sorry.
Well, Director Grant's looking that up to kind of add on to the question that I think you're asking. As far as like the revenue that's coming in, that $860,000, that all goes into the general fund budget. But then as we're looking at where those different dollars go, one of the things that the commission has asked us in the past is to qualify the amount that we're adding basically additional into parks that we're able to do because of the parking revenue. If that made sense in my head, I don't know if it made sense when it came out, but
Yes, it's if you look through your budget under GL code, it's Department 772 paid beach parking. We have 308,000 allocated to salaries, 28,775 in supplies, 3,000 in expenses, and about 131,205. So out of that 860, we have $470 just allocated for expenses and contractual services and workers.
Thank you.
So that 860 does not stretch very far.
Right. Got it. No further questions from me.
Thank you, Commissioner Kilgo. Any other questions for, yes, Commissioner German?
Yes, thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Director Grant, for being here tonight and the hard work that you've done over the years. What is the city overall budget, and what are we working with?
Overall budget or the general fund?
What the revenue that we're working with to operate and maintain our city and local government?
For the general fund, the overall budget is $43,275,000. $43,275,362.
Okay, and that's
that. And for overall, all our budgets is combined, like includes water, filtration. It's about $100 million.
Okay, that's what I thought. Okay, so and we just have different budgets, and one of the questions that I always get asked is they talk about public safety, and the police and fire department is our largest expense.
Right.
Can you just kind of
yes
give us an overview
yes.
of why that is?
Yep. So out of the $43 million, I'm just going to say roughly 18 million goes to public safety. That's police and fire. So they're a large percentage of that. If you look at, I don't know if you have your charts, police and fire pretty much make up, if you do the breakdown of expenses, they make up 41% of our expenses.
Okay, yes, okay, right there. Yeah. Okay, all right. Have there been any decrease in services or for public safety and our fire department on what they're doing in the community that would warrant a lesser percentage of revenue going to those?
No, what the chief Koza would like more money, of course. He's always in my office, and I said it's a running joke that I tell him he can't get a helicopter. He always wants a helicopter, but he always wants more. And I think the city, he wants more officers on the streets. So he's not happy with his allocation. He always wants more, but I think we are running a tight ship with the police office.
And how many officers do we have offhand? Do you know that?
I know we in the budget we have allocated for 88 officers and 27 and a half. Give me the exact number for you. I'm sorry.
I got it right here.
Okay.
Director Grant. So the firefighters, fire department total is 29 and a half. The police department total is 88. And then those are broken down between, like on the police side, police officers, sergeants, all the different ranks. And that's at the back of the book. I do want to, since we're on it, I just want to point something out. When we did this chart, the budgeted positions for 24-25, we inadvertently pulled our active numbers, not our budgeted numbers. So the number that you see allocated for positions, and I'll just give the example here, so Chief, please stay seated, is that 62 officers is what we budgeted for last year. Currently, we have about 54, 55 on the roll, and we're bringing more people on. The 54 number is what's reflected in the book. That's where we're currently sitting, but what we budgeted for is the higher number. So we have to go in.
88.
Oh, that's just officers.
Okay,
Not everybody total. Yeah. So
Okay,
the
gotcha.
total is 88. What we show as a total for next year is 80. It's actually 88. That's just what our current numbers are because of the staffing. But the budget numbers that we have in here reflect the right numbers. Same thing with the fire department. It shows 2 less, and that's because we're down 2 firefighters right now. So yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Manager. You have follow-up, Commissioner German?
No, not at this time.
All right. Any other questions for Director Grant? No? Okay. You have something to add, Mr. Manager?
I was just gonna one thing, and I apologize during the presentation last week. I forgot to at the end turn it over to Director Grant to kind of talk about the different columns that we have and how those work together. You've been looking at it for 2 weeks, so you might have figured it out by now. But for the folks at home, it might be helpful if we kind of go over why we have a previous fiscal year in there and things like that.
So when we call it the green bars, so what we have on the green bars, if you look at it, and it doesn't matter what budget you look at, we have the 22-23 activity in the first column. We have the 23-24 amended budget, so that's what was actually budgeted. And then the third column is the actual activity. The third I'm going from left to right, sorry. So the 2023 activities, which actually happened, and it's happening in 24 right now. And then that's our activity as of when we printed this report up. And then the last column is the 24-25 recommended budget. That's what we're proposing to you guys to approve.
And so you'll notice, and correct me if I'm wrong here, Director Grant, it says it's through June 30th of 24. Obviously, it's June 11th, so we haven't hit that date. The way the BSNA works is you hit a date out in the future so that whatever the activity was up to the date that this was printed, which was May 28th, that was that activity.
Yes, correct. And we will be coming to you next 2 weeks from now with the fourth quarter reforecast. We'll get those numbers a little fine-tuned and show you what our numbers are and what we need to make adjustments for the remainder of this year.
Commissioner Kugo, did I see your hand up?
Yes. Question. So since you did talk about the lines, activity, amended budget, activity through June 30th, are these, unless it says expenses, are these all revenues?
We have it broken down most of the time, first half of the budget or what we present to you on the green bar paper shows the revenues.
Okay.
And then it goes into the expenditures, and then at the end it totals and lets you know if it's positive or negative.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
And Commissioner Kugo, any other? Commissioner German?
Yes, just one other question, Mayor. Thank you. Could you talk about the street light? I'm looking at where we were at in 2022-23, and it has decreased.
Yes.
But why is it decreasing so slowly?
Well, we upgraded all our streets to LEDs, so you will see some cost savings for that. I don't know why. You have to ask Dan that, but those are the actual expenses that we are incurring. So we should see, if you go back probably 5 years ago and compare it to now, our street lighting costs have went down significantly.
Yeah, down hundreds of thousands
Yes.
of dollars.
So I mean, so you're not going to see as much savings from this year from last year, but you have to almost look 4 or 5 years ago to see dramatic.
All right, thank you.
Any other questions for Director Grant right now? No? Okay. We're going to go to public comment. Anyone in the audience wishes to give comment on this budget, the proposed budget? No? Okay. Then no one in the audience wishes to give comments, and we're going to go to the phones. That phone number is 231-724-6721. This is just to comment on the proposed budget.
While we wait for the call, can I make a comment?
Sure.
For our new commissioners, one of the easy ways to tell if it's a revenue or an expense line, if in the second set of 3 digits, if there's 3 zeros, that's a revenue line. Yeah, I did that right. Okay. Second set of digits, 3 zeros, that's a revenue line. And that just has to do with how it's coded in our system. So when you're looking at that, if you see those 3 zeros, that's revenue. If there's not 3 zeros, then it's not revenue.
Any phone calls?
No, Mayor.
No. All right. Well, commissioners, what's your pleasure? We need to close the public hearing, but motion to close the public hearing, and if it's your pleasure to adopt this budget.
I make a motion to close the public hearing and adopt this motion as presented.
All right, we have a motion by Commissioner Kugo, supported by Commissioner Keener to close this public hearing and approve the proposed budget for the 2024 to 2025 fiscal year. So, any final thoughts or questions before we go to roll call? Okay. Just thanks again.
Thank you. Thank you. And
all your
I'd
work
like
on
to thank my staff and everyone and all the department and division heads to help me with this.
Director Grant and his staff have worked so hard on this. So many hours, so many questions, and have done a really, really good job. So I just want to make sure that they get acknowledged for all that. So thank you.
Thank you. They did a great job with the presentation. It was great.
I had the easy part.
He asked.
And then having to deal with the challenges of us saying, we want to do this, we want to do that, we want to spend money here, we want to add this. So it can be challenging.
Yeah.
When we have so much resources to go so far. But we are doing good things and with the resources that we have. So roll call, please.
Vice Mayor St. Clair?
Yes.
Mayor Johnson?
Yes.
Commissioner Kilgo,
Yes.
Commissioner Keener,
Yes.
Commissioner German,
Yes.
Commissioner Gorman,
Yes.
Commissioner Cochin.
Yes.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Well, I will approve. Make adjustments to the FTEs.
Okay, thank you.
All right, thank you.
Did we add that helicopter in there?
The chief didn't hear you. Hey, chief. Yeah.
All right. Brings us to any other business, commissioners? Do you have anything you wish to raise? Any other business? Nope. All right. We're gonna go to public comment. Is there anyone in the audience? Oh, I've got one form. So if there's anyone in the audience that wishes to give public comment, please complete the form and give that to our clerk, city clerk at the end of the dais. But first up with the forms that I have is Ann Vandermolen joining us from the city of Roosevelt Park. Welcome. You have 3 minutes to write your remarks.
Thank you, and I want to thank you for letting me speak up here. It's been a long ordeal for me. 10 years ago, Tracy Lorenz told me about a woman at the Chronicle. He had written a song for her. He played me that song that he had on his phone still. He said that he played it for her, and the next day she up and moved to California. Apparently, by his own admission, he freaked her out so bad that she up and moved to California. I have proof of this because I got him to talk about it in text messages about 2 years ago. And I sent that proof to Chief Kozel and to Roger Morgenstern because I think it's good to have city officials see stuff like that. For the past 10 years, I've wondered what he did to her to make her feel like she had to move to California. For the last 10 years, after I wrote that police report in 2014, I did not know it, but the whole community has been talking about me for 8 years, and I found out about that 2 years ago, that there were a lot of rumors. I just sent Chief Kozel a recording of somebody harassing me to my face a few weeks ago. It's been going on. It won't stop. The slander for 10 years now. It's made my life hell. But I don't regret writing that report, even though many days I don't feel like getting out of bed. I did that for women in this community, and I thought I'd get support if it ever came out. But I haven't. I've had people lie to my face to get information about him. Women. So I stand with that woman that he drove away to California because I've been thinking about moving to LA myself. I've been thinking about other places because I don't like it here anymore. I have a few family members that I'm here for, but this community has treated me like hell. And I apologize for swearing, but what can this community do better? Because that other woman up and moved to California by his own admission, and I just wonder, what are we not doing? What are we not doing to make women feel safe? DJ Hilson, I've addressed this. He has his arm around Tracy in Dancing with the Local Stars. I've asked DJ to come and address this to make women feel safer, women who are harassed, maybe stalked by powerful men in the community. He has had the community stalk me. I believe, I've had people yell at me to my face. I didn't know what was going on. But I thank you, and I think you guys should think about what you all can do for women.
Thank you. All right, next up we have Vina Coleman joining us from the Jackson Hole neighborhood. Welcome.
Well, first I'm going to say about the pavilion at my park. A lot of the citizens that live on Jackson Hill did not ask for the pavilion, they asked for the bathroom. The pavilion is starting to be a problem now. It's starting to be a lot of people gathering up. They're parking on Marquette. They're bothering the neighbors. They're getting into fights and stuff. So even though, thank you for the pavilion, it's kind of a hindrance. 2, when selling these lots, would you let the developers and whoever know consider the people of Jackson Hill. Come to our neighborhood association and talk with us. Ask us what we would like to see in our neighborhood. It's not that we don't want Jackson Hill developed. We just want it developed so to fit the aesthetic of Jackson Hill. And 3, I'm going to say it once, I'm going to say it again. Get rid of the firehouse bond. That way, more money can be freed up to help the citizens of Muskegon. That's it. Quick point.
Thank you, Ms. Vigna. Appreciate you joining us this evening. Anyone else in the audience wish to give public comment at this time? We are going to go to the phones. That phone number is 231-724-6721. When you call, please turn down any audio in the background. And when we answer, please share your name and which neighborhood you're calling from if you're a city resident. And if you're not a city resident, which city, township, or village you may be calling from. All right, doesn't sound like we have any callers for public comment tonight.
No, Mayor.
Okay. Commissioners, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So move.
That sounds like you're
Everybody.
Madam Clerk, who the motion maker and supporter is. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed, same sign. We are adjourned. Thank you. Take care and be well.
Good night, everyone.